Chapter 619. 3 hours. I didn't expect Yen Fu to know that evil eye is from the royal family. Hearing Yen Fu's last sentence, Ning Yu could not help but frown. Since Yen Fu knew that evil eye was from the royal family, it was highly likely that Yen Fu was colluding with the royal family. I have to get someone to investigate the World Pavilion and see if the owner behind it is from the royal family. Ning Yu took a deep breath in. He felt that things were getting more and more confusing, and he had to sort things out. Swoosh! Suddenly, an afterimage flashed past Ning Yu's eyes, causing Ning Yu's heart to skip a beat as he asked hurriedly, "Who is it?" Dark Emperor. When he realized who the afterimage was, Ning Yu exclaimed, "You've recovered! Also, what do you want to do?" "It's a simple logic. Why don't you understand?" As the Dark Emperor flew, he turned around and rolled his eyes at Ning Yu. Zhang Shan and Yen Fu are both martial artists at the peak of Yinyang State. Although they're dead, the energy in their bodies is still very powerful. We can't waste it. Upon hearing that, Ning Yu's lips could not help but twitch. That was very Dark Emperor. Not long ago, when he had killed Deng He in the Lone Skeleton Forest, the Dark Emperor had forcefully taken Deng He for himself and devoured him completely, not wanting to waste anything. Now he actually wanted to carry forward such a great spirit. That was truly admirable to Ning Yu. Sun Jiangwen, Evil Eye, clean up this area and try to get rid of all traces and auras of the battle. Ning Yu ignored the Dark Emperor and said in a deep voice, "After you're done, bring Lung Mian down to treat him. You must treat him completely within 3 hours." Ning Yu gave a firm order. That was because he would be attacking the Zhang family in the capital 3 hours later. Without Lung Mian, a martial artist at the peak of Yinyang State, his overall combat power would be much lower. Swoosh! With that, Ning Yu glanced at the Dark Emperor, then rose from the ground and entered the courtyard. As for the Red Fiend, he kept the Red Fiend's sword and followed closely behind Ning Yu, disappearing in an instant. Not long after Ning Yu and the Red Devil disappeared, the Dark Emperor, Sun Jiangwen, and the others also disappeared from this area. After the Dark Emperor and Sun Jiangwen left, this area was almost restored and was exactly the same as before the great battle. If one didn't carefully examine it, they wouldn't be able to find any clues at all. Creak! At the same time, in a secret room. There were only 4 people in the secret room: Xikong Ling, Lu Wei, Hong Emo, and Lu Wei. The others, such as Sun Jiangwen, Evil Eye, and even the Dark Emperor, were in another secret room. Sun Jiangwen and Evil Eye were doing their best to treat Lung Mian. The Dark Emperor was also slowly enjoying the delicacies of the two-peak Yinyang realms. Of course, Xikong Ling and Lu Wei did not know about the matters in the other secret room. At this moment, they were still concerned about the great battle that had just happened. Ning Yu, who was it that attacked here just now? Could it be someone from the black market? Xikong Ling's expression was extremely ugly, although he did not know that the ones who had attacked here were two-peak Yinyang realm warriors. Based on the injuries on Ning Yu's body, he could guess that the person's cultivation was definitely not low. This was because Ning Yu's friends were all freaks with incomparably powerful strength. With their help, even if they faced a peak Yinyang realm late-stage martial artist, they could easily finish him off. Now that Ning Yu was injured, there was a high possibility that the martial artist who had attacked this time was at the peak of Yinyang realm, and in the black market, only the 3 core elders had reached the peak of Yinyang realm. It has nothing to do with the black market. It's just a few martial artists with low cultivation. In order to not let Xikong Ling worry, Ning Yu changed the topic and asked, "How are you adjusting your condition? If you were given a transcendent grade essence transformation pill now, how confident are you that you can advance to the Yuandan realm?" 80%. Although Xikong Ling maintained a skeptical attitude towards Ning Yu's words, he still answered honestly. The Essence Transformation Pill is a peak 5th grade medicinal pill, and the Transcendent Grade Essence Transformation Pill is even more precious. As long as I have a transcendent grade essence transformation pill, I conservatively estimate that I have an 80% chance of advancing to the Yuan Dan realm, or even directly advancing to the middle stage of the Yuan Dan realm. Go and prepare first. I'll get the Red Devil to send you a transcendent grade essence transformation pill in 10 minutes. Ning Yu waved his hand, indicating that Si Kongling could leave for the time being. Originally, Si Kongling wanted to ask something, but after hearing Ning Yu's words, he tactfully left the secret room. Swish! As time was of the essence, Ning Yu did not waste any time. The moment Si Kongling left, he immediately took out the alchemy cauldron that he had obtained from the furnace pavilion. Ning Yu had already decided to make a trip to the Zhang family in 3 hours. Right now, he wanted to refine a transcendent grade essence transformation pill for Si Kongling. Swish! Ning Yu had refined the essence transformation pill many times, so it was naturally very easy for him to refine it again. In order to save time, Ning Yu directly threw all the medicinal ingredients into the alchemy cauldron. At the same time, he separated a portion of his soul force into the cauldron and began to refine the medicinal ingredients. Chi. After about 5 minutes, all the medicinal ingredients had been refined. Pill completed. After another 5 minutes, following Ning Yu's low shout, a smooth and round medicinal pill flew out from the alchemy cauldron. Swish! The instant the medicinal pill flew out, the Red Devil's figure flashed and firmly caught it in his hand. Without waiting for Ning Yu to speak, the Red Devil tore through the void and disappeared from this area. Lu Wei, I'm going out for a while. Are you going to follow me or stay here? Looking at Lu Wei standing in front of him, Ning Yu pondered for a moment and said, What I mean is, you'd better stay here. I'd better go with you. Lu Wei interrupted Ning Yu and said, Anyway, the storage ring can store people. I'll stay by your side. All right, go into the storage ring later. No matter what happens, don't come out. Actually, Ning Yu did not want to leave Lu Wei here. After all, he had to bring Lung Mian, Evil Eye, and the rest to the Zhang family. If there were experts besieging this place, Lu Wei would definitely not have a good ending if she stayed. As for Si Kongling, because he was the young master of the black market, with the deterrence of the black market's leader, Black Widow, outsiders would definitely not dare to make a move on him. He only needed to guard against the pursuit from within the black market. Not long ago, Ding Huageng, who was at the Yinyang intermediate stage, was killed, so in a short period of time, Si Kongling would not be in danger. There's still more than 2 hours left. I have to make good use of these 2 hours and strive to adjust my state to its peak. Ning Yu took a deep breath and immediately sat cross-legged. He took out a few supreme grade essence crystals from the storage ring and began to circulate the spirit transformation technique to absorb them. Although the Zhang family's patriarch Zhang Shan had been killed, the Zhang family was still a first-rate force in the capital, second only to Danwu College and the imperial family. This trip to the Zhang family would definitely be extremely dangerous. However, Ning Yu had no other choice because going to the Zhang family tonight might be the best choice. Zhang Shan was killed, and the Zhang family would definitely be in chaos. Chapter 620. Internal Disturbances Capital, Zhang Clan. More than a dozen cultivators were gathered in a secret chamber. Even the current Zhang family patriarch, Zhang Jun. However, among these ancient martial art practitioners, Zhang Jun had the lowest level of cultivation, at the peak of the primal core stage. As for the rest of the martial artists, the weakest one was at half-step yin-yang realm. There was even a late-stage yin-yang stage and 3 mid-stage yin-yang stage experts. At this moment, the atmosphere in the room was a little stifling, so stifling that it was hard to breathe. Just now, the patriarch's soul tablet shattered. I wonder what everyone's opinion is. This pressure didn't last long before it was broken by a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. Generally speaking, the shattering of a soul tablet means that the ancestor is dead, but I don't believe that the ancestor died in battle. The late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist's gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on Zhang Jun. He said lightly, "Zhang Jun, before the old ancestor left the Zhang family, the last person he saw was you. Repeat everything the old ancestor said to you without missing a single word." Grand Elder, the last person Patriarch saw before he left the Zhang family was indeed me. Zhang Jun took a step forward and said in a deep voice, "Back then, the Patriarch only said one thing to me. I'm going to the World Pavilion, and I'll be back soon." World Pavilion. The late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist raised his brows and muttered, "The Pavilion Lord of the World Pavilion isn't in the Great Xia Kingdom most of the time, and the Assistant Pavilion Lord Yen Fu is only at the peak stage of the Yin-Yang realm. He is surely unable to kill Patriarch by himself. Great Elder, I heard that Yen Fu has a good relationship with the Alchemy Union's President Peng Zhou. Could it be that they've joined hands?" A Yin-Yang realm early stage cultivator swiped his hand across his neck. Although he did not finish his words, his meaning was clear. "Impossible." The late-stage Yin-Yang realm warrior shook his head and said, "Tomorrow is the alchemy competition, so Peng Zhou's every move will definitely be watched by many people. He won't be stupid enough to kill the old ancestor with Yen Fu. Great Elder, no matter what, the Patriarch is most likely dead. I suggest that we kill our way into the World Pavilion. That's right. This matter is most likely related to Yen Fu. We can't just sit back and do nothing." "What I mean is exactly the opposite. What we should do now is block the news. We can't let the hostile forces of the Zhang family know that the Patriarch has died in battle." The discussions that entered Zhang He's ears made him a little irritated. Actually, Zhang He was still a little excited about Zhang Shan's death. After all, after Zhang Shan's death, he would be the martial artist with the highest cultivation in the Zhang family. In the future, he would have the final say in the Zhang family. Although Zhang He was somewhat excited, he did not show it. Instead, he said in a clear voice, "Everyone, please calm down. When the ancestor's soul tablet shattered, I already sent out many spies to investigate. All we can do now is wait." "Wait?" Everyone was puzzled. "This is a critical period. Third Elder is right. We need to suppress the news of the Patriarch's death and investigate it in secret." Zhang He nodded and immediately changed the topic as he spoke in a sinister tone. "Our Zhang clan is able to stand tall in the Great Xia Kingdom for such a long time, and it isn't just because of old ancestor. Without my permission, if anyone dares to leak this matter out, don't blame me for being impolite." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang He's late-stage Yin-Yang aura emanated from his body, constantly suppressing everyone. Crack! Only when everyone was forced to kneel on the ground did Zhang He retract his aura and nod in satisfaction. Swish! After that, Zhang He rose from the ground and dashed out of the secret chamber. At the same time, a voice rang out in the secret chamber. "Zhang Jun, bring me to the place where old ancestor lives. I want to investigate it carefully." Whoosh! Zhang He's words were so simple that even a fool could guess what he was thinking. For a moment, everyone looked at each other. Zhang Jun did not leave immediately. Instead, he gave a look to a mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist in the room before following Zhang He out of the secret chamber. In front of the Zhang clan's residence, Pan Zhang and Yuan Nan were two martial artists from the Zhang clan's law enforcement team. They were both at the peak of the Yuan core realm. Every day, at midnight, they would guard the door. As the Zhang clan was a first-rate force, few people dared to cause trouble in the Zhang clan. Thus, this job of guarding the door was easy. "Brother Pan, I heard that 2 or 3 hours ago, the Great Elder gathered all the Yin-Yang realm martial artists of the Zhang family in the capital." I'm not sure what they were discussing. Yuan then looked around and started chatting with the martial artists beside him. What else could it be? Pan Zhang looked around and said in a low voice, "I heard that old ancestor's soul tablet was broken. The higher-ups of the Zhang clan are in a mess." "What? Soul? Yuan Nan exclaimed in shock. Shut up. Pan Zheng quickly covered Yuan Nan's mouth and said angrily, Do you King want to die? Even if you don't want to live, I do. The great elder has given a death order. If anyone dares to spread this news, they will have their entire family executed. That's serious? Yuan Nan's eyes widened in shock. Old Ancestor is a martial artist at the peak of the Yinyang realm. The people who can kill him in the capital must at least be at the manifestation realm. Rumor has it that only the royal family and Danwu College have manifestation realm martial artists in the capital. Could it be that Danwu College and the royal family did it? Stop guessing. This matter has nothing to do with us. We should just guard the door. Pan Zheng did not seem to want to talk too much about this matter. He said in a low voice, Our mission is to guard the door, from now until tomorrow morning. However, before Pan Zheng could finish a sentence, he frowned and his expression turned serious. Brother Pan, what's wrong? Yuan Nan asked when he saw Pan Zheng's expression. It's nothing. The space in this area seemed to have trembled a little. Pan Zheng waved his hand and said, From now until tomorrow morning, we better not let even a fly into the Zhang clan. Swoosh! What Pan Zheng did not know was that the tremble in the space earlier was not an illusion. It was a tremble left behind by a martial artist tearing the space apart for a short period of time. At the same time, 2 martial artists appeared behind a big tree in the Zhang clan's courtyard. There are 15 martial artists in a secret room to the east. The lowest cultivation is at the half-step Yinyang realm, and the highest is at the mid-stage Yinyang realm. One of the martial artists, a man in red, released his perception and withdrew it after a while. Ningyu, should we get rid of these people first? The man in red asked. Ningyu thought for a moment and said, We can't alert them. Let's wait here first. It's best if we can capture a Yinyang realm martial artist and force him to tell us where the Zhang clan's forbidden ground is. The Zhang clan has such a strong foundation. It's impossible that the strongest martial artist other than Zhang Shan is only at the mid-stage Yinyang realm. Chapter 6:21. Waiting for prey. That's a good idea. But the Red Devil looked at Ningyu and hesitated. If you have something to say, just say it, Ningyu said. If we stay here, we might be discovered by the Zhang family warriors at any time. The Red Devil voiced out the worry in his heart and said, In my opinion, we should just find a random room to enter. This way, it will be easier for us to conceal our auras and also make it easier for us to act. All right. Ningyu thought about it and felt that the Red Devil's words made sense. After all, the Zhang family was a top-tier family. It was better to be careful before figuring out the exact situation of the Zhang family. Wouldn't it be dangerous if another peak Yinyang realm warrior appeared in the Zhang family? Although Ningyu and the rest were not afraid of peak Yinyang realm warriors, it was still difficult for them to fight against the entire Zhang family. Swoosh! Just as Ningyu and the Red Devil were about to leave, their hearts skipped a beat and they quickly hid their aura. In the secret room to the east, a shadow suddenly rushed out. The shadow was extremely fast and flashed in front of Ningyu and the rest in the blink of an eye. Creak! The shadow did not leave the Zhang family but entered another room. Good opportunity. Ningyu and the Red Devil looked at each other and saw the excitement in each other's eyes. With their perception, they could naturally tell that the warrior who left was at the mid-stage Yinyang realm. The mid-stage Yinyang realm was not high, but it was not low either. It was just right. This was because a mid-stage Yinyang realm warrior would definitely have access to some secrets of the Zhang family. They would definitely gain a lot from him. Buzz! The next moment, the Red Devil and the Red Devil sword fused together. Ningyu held the Red Devil sword in his hand and entered the void. When Ningyu appeared, he realized that he was already in a secret room. There were 2 warriors in the secret room. One of them was a young warrior that Ningyu recognized. It was none other than the peerless genius of the Zhang family, Zhang Tianwen. Zhang Tianwen's current cultivation was the same as Ningyu's, mid-stage primal core realm. Who is it? Zhang Tianwen's reaction was very fast. He shouted almost as soon as Ningyu appeared. Ningyu! When he saw the familiar figure in front of him, Zhang Tianwen could not believe his eyes. He couldn't figure out how Ningyu had managed to sneak into the Zhang family, which was heavily guarded. You're Ningyu? The martial artist ranked first on the Zhang family's wanted list. Compared to Zhang Tianwen's shock, the middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist next to him was very calm. He first sized up Ningyu, then said lightly, I'll give you a chance. Surrender, and I'll spare your life. Ningyu was speechless. Could it be that the experts of the Zhang clan were all fools? Did they already know that he was no match for them even before the battle began? I want to return the same words to you. Ningyu shrugged and said without batting an eyelid, If you surrender, I might spare your life. What? The middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist could not believe his ears. His eyes widened, and he asked again, say that again? If you surrender, I might spare your life. Although the middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist's strange request made Ningyu speechless, Ningyu still agreed to it. You're asking for it. Zhang Huang was completely enraged. After all, he was a middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, while Ningyu was only a middle-stage primal core martial artist. There was a huge gap between the two of them. How dare Ningyu behave so atrociously in front of him? An aunt could tolerate this, but an uncle could not. Since he could not tolerate this, Zhang Huang decided to teach Ningyu a lesson. He would capture Ningyu first. Mid-stage Yin-Yang realm? As the middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist approached him, Ningyu's eyes flashed with a cold light. He immediately summoned the Yuan Qi in his mind and wrapped it around his wrist. Then he countered with a punch that collided with Zhang Huang's fist. Bang! The two fists collided, and a muffled sound rang out. Then, the two figures retreated simultaneously. You're actually so powerful. Zhang Tianwen was so shocked that his eyeballs were about to fall out of their sockets when he saw that Zhang Huang's attack had failed to subdue Ningyu. Zhang Huang was a middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist, while Ningyu was only a middle-stage primal core martial artist. Logically speaking, Ningyu should not have been able to withstand a single blow. Could it be that Zhang Huang had held back? However, from Zhang Huang's furious expression, Zhang Tianwen could tell that Zhang Huang had not held back. Ningyu, I admit that I underestimated you. Zhang Huang took a deep breath and said, You won't be so lucky after this. I can't be bothered to waste my breath on you. You did not want to waste his time here. After all, he had urgent matters to attend to. He had to subdue this middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist and force him to reveal the current situation of the Zhang family. Hong Mo, let's attack together. Although Ningyu could defeat Zhang Huang on his own, he did not do so. Firstly, it would take him a few minutes to defeat Zhang Huang. During these few minutes, many things could happen. Secondly, he could capture Zhang Huang alive if he attacked together with Hong Mo. Oh no. Zhang Tianwen, hurry up and leave. The moment Hong Mo appeared, Zhang Huang realized the severity of the situation. He did not have time to think. He immediately grabbed Zhang Tianwen and threw him outside. Swoosh! However, just as Zhang Tianwen reached the door, he was blocked by a black figure. Clap, clap, clap. The black figure was the Dark Emperor, who had recovered to his peak state. Initially, the Dark Emperor did not want to expose himself. However, considering that the battle between Ningyu and Zhang Huang might have a greater impact, the Dark Emperor decided to seal off the area. Who would have thought that the Dark Emperor would block Zhang Tianwen's path as soon as he appeared? Without a word, the Dark Emperor extended his front claws and slapped Zhang Tianwen's face repeatedly. More than a dozen palm prints landed on Zhang Tianwen's face, turning him into a pig's head before he fainted. Boom! Meanwhile, on the other side, Ningyu and Hong Emo were already engaged in a fierce battle with Zhang Huang. Zhang Huang was only at the Yinyang intermediate stage, so he was quickly subdued by Ningyu and Hong Emo. Ningyu, this is the Zhang family. I advise you to let me go. Otherwise, I'll make you suffer the consequences. Zhang Huang shouted, even though he was caught by Ningyu. It was as if he wasn't the one being caught. Sun Jiangwen. Ningyu ignored Zhang Huang's yelling and called Sun Jiangwen out from his storage ring. What? A storage ring that can store a person? Zhang Huang was shocked speechless by Sun Jiangwen's appearance. A treasure that could store a person was extremely precious. Even the first-rate Zhang family did not have such a treasure. How long do you need to control this martial artist? Ningyu asked without beating around the bush. 3 hours alive, Sun Jiangwen said, sensing the aura emanating from Zhang Huang's body. A few minutes dead. Ningyu pondered for a moment before saying something that made Zhang Huang despair. Chapter 6:22. Get rid of Ningyu. You can't do this to me. The might of the Zhang family is beyond your imagination. Zhang Huang struggled and shouted, As long as you let me go, I promise to tell you everything I know. I won't hide anything from you. It's too late. I can still get everything I want from the dead. Ningyu stared at Zhang Huang for a moment, and then said indifferently, Hong Emo, seal his meridians, and then enter the spatial ring with Sun Jiangwen. Whoosh! The red devil did not answer Ningyu. Instead, he moved quickly and appeared beside Zhang Huang in the blink of an eye. Shortly after, Hong Mo's fist landed heavily on Zhang Huang's head. The enormous force directly caused Zhang Huang to faint. Voila! Right at this moment, 3 pillars of light shot out from the storage ring, sucking the 3 of them into the storage ring. As for Ningyu, he slowly approached Zhang Tianwen. Wake him up. Looking at Zhang Tianwen's extremely swollen cheeks, Ningyu turned to the Dark Emperor and said, Zhang Tianwen is an exceptional genius of the Zhang clan. He definitely knows some of the Zhang clan's secrets. I've guessed this long ago, so I spared his life. The Dark Emperor seemed to be prepared. When Ningyu came over, he raised his front claws and slapped Zhang Tianwen's face once again. Papa! Crisp sounds continuously rang out in the room. Fortunately, the Dark Emperor had set up a sound barrier in the surroundings. Otherwise, these sounds would have attracted the attention of others. When the Dark Emperor whipped him for the 10th time, Zhang Tianwen finally woke up from his coma. At this time, Zhang Tianwen's cheeks were swollen again. Only his squinted eyes could be seen, and his nose and face were indistinguishable. Ningyu, you will die a horrible death. Although his face was extremely swollen, Zhang Tianwen still didn't change his nature. He shouted at Ningyu, This is the Zhang family. If you dare to trespass, you will die. Whether I die or when I die is none of your concern. Ningyu smiled and said, What you should be concerned about right now is how long you can live. Answer a few of my questions, and I will spare your life on account of our friendship. Ningyu went straight to the point. First question, apart from Zhang Shan, are there any other Yinyang realm martial artists in the Zhang family? You know ancestor Zhang Shan. Hearing Ningyu's words, Zhang Tianwen's expression turned solemn. Aside from the Zhang clan, very few cultivators in the vast capital knew that the Zhang clan's ancestor was called Zhang Shan. How did Ningyu know? No. All of a sudden, Zhang Tianwen seemed to have thought of something. He pointed at Ningyu and said, Not long ago I learned that ancestor Zhang Shan's soul tablet had shattered. Could it be related to you? It's related, of course it's related. Ning, you did not intend to hide it from Zhang Tianwen. He shrugged and said, 3 hours ago, Zhang Shan joined forces with Yan Fu from the World Pavilion to kill me. Unfortunately, they all died in my hands. Just as Ningyu finished speaking, Zhang Tianwen spat out a mouthful of blood, and his breathing became extremely weak. Zhang Tianwen's actions truly caused Ningyu to be at a loss. What kind of mental fortitude was this? He merely stated a fact, and Zhang Tianwen actually spat out a mouthful of blood and his breathing became weak? What's there to be surprised about? Aren't they just two yin-yang realm martial artists? Ningyu spread his hands and said, "Uft." Ningyu's words caused Zhang Tianwen to spit out another mouthful of blood, and his chest heaved up and down uncontrollably. Aren't you afraid of cutting your tongue when you talk big? Your own cultivation is only at the mid-stage primal core realm, and yet you say things like, aren't they just two yin-yang realm martial artists? Piak! Zhang Tianwen's slightly exaggerated expression made the Dark Emperor unable to stand it anymore. Given the Dark Emperor's temper, he naturally slapped Zhang Tianwen a few more times. Be honest. Other than Zhang Shan, are there any other yin-yang realm martial artists in the Zhang family? The Dark Emperor said fiercely, "This is your only chance to live." Humph. Kill me, as long as I'm still breathing. I'll definitely not tell you anything about the Zhang family. Zhang Tianwen snorted coldly as he thought to himself, I have to stall for time. As long as I can stall for time until the family head arrives, everything will... Before Zhang Tianwen could finish a sentence, his face was filled with shock. You. He turned around and looked at the Dark Emperor who had retreated to the other side. He extended his hand and wanted to say something harsh, but he only said a few words. Is there something wrong with your head? What a strange request. I was thinking of sparing your life, but you actually want me to kill you. Even after killing Zhang Tianwen, the Dark Emperor was still mumbling. I'm a very practical emperor. As long as someone makes a request, I'll try my best to fulfill it. Seeing that Zhang Tianwen was killed, Ningyu was speechless. After all, Zhang Tianwen was a peerless prodigy of the Zhang family. There should be some use in keeping him alive. Forget it, so be it. It was understandable that the Dark Emperor killed Zhang Tianwen. As a peerless prodigy of the Zhang family, he might have some life-saving treasures on him. If he used them, the situation would be very dangerous. After killing Zhang Tianwen, the Dark Emperor began to search through Zhang Tianwen's body. Ning, you could not be bothered with the Dark Emperor. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and began to circulate the spirit transformation technique to recover his exhausted vitality. Swoosh! Not long after, Sun Jiangwen and the Hong Mo flew out of the storage ring. Pick up some useful information. Ning Yu stood up from the ground and asked directly without beating around the bush. The martial artist just now is called Zhang Huang, the second elder of the Zhang family. He's at the intermediate stage of the yin-yang realm, the Hong Mo explained. From Zhang Huang's memory, we learned that apart from Zhang Shan, the martial artist with the highest cultivation in the Zhang family is called Zhang He. He's at the advanced stage of the yin-yang realm. Sun Jiangwen added, apart from Zhang He, the advanced stage of the yin-yang realm, there are 3 other martial artists in the Zhang family. No, it should be 2 intermediate stage of the yin-yang realm. Where is the advanced stage of the yin-yang realm, Zhang He? Ning Yu asked with a frown. The forbidden area of the Zhang family, Sun Jiangwen said. The head of the Zhang family and Zhang, he entered the forbidden area together. There's no time to lose. Let's go to the forbidden area of the Zhang family immediately, Ningyu said with a cold gaze. Wait. Seeing that Ningyu was about to leave, Sun Jiangwen hurriedly said, From Zhang Huang's memory, I found something unusual. Oh, tell me about it. Ningyu raised his brows and said calmly, From that memory, I found that the upper echelons of the Zhang family are most likely colluding with the corpse sect. Sun Jiangwen sorted out his thoughts and said, Also, in an hour, the corpse sect might send a few experts to the Zhang family. As for the specifics, I'm not too sure. The corpse sect will send experts to the Zhang family? It seems like not starting a massacre was the right choice. Ning Yu's face became a little solemn. If he started a massacre in the Zhang family, It was very likely that he would alert the enemy. The people of the corpse sect were much more powerful than the people of the Zhang family. We only have an hour. Everyone, rest for 3 minutes, and then go to the forbidden area of the Zhang family. Chapter 6, 23. Unbeknownst to anyone's wish. 3 minutes passed quickly. When Ning Yu wanted to remind the Dark Emperor, he realized that the Dark Emperor was already prepared and waiting for him. Ning Yu was slightly stunned and asked, "Dark Emperor, where is Zhang Tianwen?" As Ning Yu was fully focused on recovering, he did not pay much attention to Zhang Tianwen. Now that he did not see Zhang Tianwen beside the Dark Emperor, he naturally had to ask. It's simple. The Dark Emperor raised his eyelids and rolled his eyes at Ning Yu. Although Zhang Tianwen is only a primordial core. Stop. I know what you want to say. Ning Yu interrupted the Dark Emperor and said, "The most important thing now is to hurry to the Zhang family's forbidden area. After all, we only have an hour." Creak. With that, Ning Yu pushed the door open and walked out. "Why are you so rude?" The Dark Emperor pursed his lips and followed closely behind Ning Yu. Swish! In the courtyard of the Zhang family, a figure was walking carefully. In order to ensure as much safety as possible, Ning Yu asked the Dark Emperor and the others to enter the storage ring after exiting the room, and he followed Sun Jiangwen's directions to the forbidden area of the Zhang family step by step. There were too many people, and it was easy to be exposed. If he was alone, the risk of being discovered would be reduced. Turn left at the intersection ahead, walk for 15 steps, then turn right and walk straight. Sun Jiangwen's voice kept ringing in Ning Yu's mind, guiding Ning Yu step by step towards the Zhang family's forbidden area. There were many martial artists above the Yinyang realm in the Zhang family, but from Zhang Hua's memory, Ning Yu knew that they were all in a secret room and were ordered by Zhang He not to leave temporarily. Zhang He's order was a great help to Ning Yu. Otherwise, with his mid-stage primordial core concealment ability, he might be discovered. Although Ning Yu met many martial artists along the way, most of them were connate and true martial. There were even a few primordial core. Martial artists below the origin core stage were naturally unable to discover Ning Yu. "We're here." After carefully advancing for 5 minutes, when Sun Jiangwen's words echoed in his mind, Ning Yu suddenly stopped. "Is the forbidden land of the Zhang family in this courtyard?" Looking at the courtyard not far away, Ning Yu could not help but frown. It was not that Ning Yu was afraid of entering the Zhang family's forbidden area, but there were 2 early-stage Yin-Yang stage cultivators guarding the entrance to the courtyard. It was very difficult for Ning Yu to avoid the perception of these 2 warriors without being noticed. What's so difficult about that? Leave it to me. Just as Ning Yu was having a headache over this, the Dark Emperor suddenly shot out from the storage ring and rushed towards the 2 guards with an extremely shocking speed. "Be careful!" The Dark Emperor's sudden actions caused Ning Yu's expression to change drastically. However, before Ning Yu could even shout, he saw a scene that made him extremely speechless. The Dark Emperor appeared on the other side of the 2 guards and barked a few times. Woof, woof. The Dark Emperor's barks naturally attracted the attention of the 2 guards, and their gazes landed on the Dark Emperor. "What dog is this?" One of the slightly taller martial artists frowned, looking somewhat puzzled. "I'm not sure. Maybe it's a pet raised by a brat in the family." The other shorter martial artist shrugged and said, "Who cares? Our main mission is to guard the forbidden area. We must not let anyone in." "That's right. Guarding the forbidden area is a big deal." The taller martial artist nodded, but he quickly hesitated and said, "But what about this puppy? This is troublesome." The shorter martial artist also felt that it was a little troublesome. Although they guarded the forbidden area and had the power to kill, they could not kill this puppy. After all, killing this puppy meant that they might offend a genius of the Zhang family. It was a thankless task. After pondering for a moment, the shorter martial artist said, "As long as it doesn't enter the courtyard, we'll let it stay here." "That's the only way. I hope its owner can come as soon as possible and take it away." The taller martial artist glanced at the Dark Emperor one last time and did not say anything else. Should we kill these 2 guards or keep them? Seeing that the 2 guards were ignoring him, the Dark Emperor sent a sound transmission to Ningyu, under the premise of not alarming anyone else. "How confident are you that you can kill them?" Ningyu frowned. Ningyu did not doubt that the Dark Emperor could kill the 2 guards, but what Ningyu was worried about was whether the Dark Emperor could quickly finish them off. This was the Zhang family's forbidden area. According to Ningyu's speculations, other than the guards in front of the courtyard, there would definitely be guards inside. Once these 2 guards were killed, it would cause a huge commotion. It was extremely likely to alarm the guards in the courtyard, and even Zhang He and Zhang Jun in the forbidden area. Therefore, Ningyu had no choice but to be extremely careful. 100%. With that said, the Dark Emperor no longer paid any attention to Ningyu, and instead walked towards the 2 guards step by step. Woof woof. As he walked, the Dark Emperor called out, "Hee hee, this puppy sure has guts." Looking at the black dog that was approaching him, the tall martial artist laughed. "I just don't know what breed it is. I've never seen this breed of dog before. It might be a low-level breed like the black spotted dog." The short martial artist said, "Hey, black dog, hurry up and stop. Otherwise, we won't be polite to you." The tall martial artist bellowed at the Dark Emperor, then released a bit of his aura, suppressing it towards the Dark Emperor. "What? This puppy can actually block 10% of my aura." Just as the tall martial artist's aura pressed down on the Dark Emperor, he revealed a look of disbelief. Although 10% of his aura was not too strong, ordinary true martial realm martial artists, or even early-stage Yuan Dan martial artists, would find it difficult to block. What kind of breed was this black dog in front of him to be able to block it so easily? Woof! Woof! At this moment, a cold glint appeared in the Dark Emperor's eyes, and he immediately shot out like a bolt of lightning, appearing between the 2 guards in the blink of an eye. Pucci! Pucci! 2 beams of cold light shot out from the Dark Emperor's eyes. Under the shocked gazes of the 2 guards, they pierced into their hearts. Plop! Without any warning, the 2 early-stage Yin-Yang realm guards fell backwards, then fell heavily to the ground. "Holy shit, Dark Emperor! When did you become so strong?" The death of the 2 guards caused Ningyu to be slightly stunned. Those were 2 early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists, and the Dark Emperor actually killed them in one move. Furthermore, they were killed without any resistance. That's nothing. It's just the heaven-devouring dog's innate secret technique. The Dark Emperor raised his head arrogantly and began to act cool. Not to mention 2 early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists. Even if it's 2 middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists, I can still kill them without anyone noticing. Stop bragging. Hurry up and enter the storage ring. Leave the guards in the courtyard to me later. Chapter 6:24. Shatter the stone column. Generally speaking, it was extremely difficult to pass through the first layer of defense of the Zhang clan's forbidden grounds. Despite the size of the Zhang clan, there was only one person who had the privilege to enter and leave the Zhang clan's forbidden grounds at any time. That person was the ancestor of the Zhang clan, Zhangshan. As for the rest of the martial artists, if they wanted to enter the forbidden area, there was only one way. First, they had to have a special token, and second, they had to be personally led by the current patriarch. These inspections were carried out by the 2 guards stationed outside the courtyard. As for the guards inside the courtyard, they were mainly responsible for the second round of inspections. The second round of inspection was much easier. As long as one was confirmed to be a cultivator of the Zhang clan, they would be allowed to pass. Zhang Ji and Zhang Li were the guards of the second round. They were at the peak of the early Yin-Yang realm. They guarded the second layer of defense of the Forbidden Land, which was also the main entrance of the Forbidden Land. Zhang Ji, Why does Great Elder want to enter the forbidden area at this time? Zhang Li looked at the bronze door at the side and said with a frown, "In the past 10 years, this is the first time First Elder has entered the forbidden area. You're asking me, but who should I ask?" Zhang Ji and Zhang Li exclaimed almost at the same time, slightly distracted. Rumble. However, it was this momentary distraction that caused them to pay a heavy price. The black dog raised its front paw and stabbed it into Zhang Ji's heart. The red flying sword shot through the air, gradually enlarging in Zhang Li's pupils before finally slashing his throat. Kill one, leave one alive, and force them to tell us how to open the stone door. Seeing that the Red Devil and the Dark Emperor wanted to kill him at the same time, Ningyu hurriedly said, "Thump! Thump!" Ningyu's words were obviously a little late. Zhang Ji and Zhang Li both fell backward and landed heavily on the ground. The corner of Ningyu's mouth twitched, and he was speechless. Zhang Ji and Zhang Li had been killed. So how could he open the stone door? Ningyu, there are 2 ways to open the stone door. Just as Ningyu was having a headache over how to open the stone door, Sun Jiangwen's words rang in his mind. First, rely on the Patriarch's token. Second, use brute force. Brute force? Ningyu directly ignored the first method. After all, he did not have the Patriarch's token. However, looking at the bronze stone door in front of him, Ningyu was suddenly in a dilemma. Ningyu could not imagine how much strength would be required to open the huge bronze stone door. Not just using brute force to push the stone door, but shatter the stone pillar on the left of the bronze stone door. Perhaps sensing Ningyu's confusion, Sun Jiangwen said again, "Did you learn all this from Zhang Huang's memory?" Ningyu did not attack the stone pillar immediately. Instead, he frowned and asked, "Zhang Huang is the Zhang clan's second elder. He has a very good relationship with the current patriarch, Zhang Jun." Sun Jiangwen said, "Shattering the stone pillar can open the stone door. Only 3 or 4 people in the Zhang clan know about this." "Red Devil, go and give it a try," Ningyu said after a moment of silence. Swoosh! The Red Devil did not hesitate. He immediately charged toward the stone pillar with the Red Devil sword in his hand. Chi! In midair, the Red Devil transformed into an afterimage and fused with the Red Devil sword. The Red Devil was the sword spirit of the Red Devil sword. Their combined might was naturally much greater. Crack! In the next moment, a crisp sound resounded in the area. Ningyu's face darkened when he heard this crisp sound. He felt that his IQ was somewhat lacking. He even had the urge to curse. Is this the F** King Zhang clan's forbidden area? Why is a flying sword able to break it open? Ningyu, the Red Devil sword, is a flying sword at the pinnacle of the king rank. It can easily slice open a stone pillar made of this material. The Red Devil immediately separated from the Red Devil sword and landed beside Ningyu. Creak! At the same time, a deep sound rang out. Then, the bronze stone door slowly opened. Let's go. Ningyu first dealt with Zhang Ji and Zhang Li before entering the bronze stone door. The Red Devil and the Dark Emperor also transformed into 2 afterimages and entered the storage ring. Cold. Extremely cold. The first thing Ningyu felt when he entered the stone door was cold, and the second was extremely cold. What the F** CK? Ningyu hurriedly released his vital energy and formed a protective barrier around him, slightly alleviating the cold. As expected of the forbidden area of a first-rate clan, the density of the vital energy in the periphery of the forbidden area is 3 to 4 times higher than the outside world. Ningyu was slightly surprised when he sensed the density of the vital energy in the surroundings. This was only the periphery of the forbidden area, but the density of the vital energy was 3 to 4 times higher than the outside world. It was conceivable that once he entered the deepest part of the forbidden area, wouldn't the density of the vital energy be more than 10 times higher than the outside world? Sun Jiangwen, how do I get to the deepest part of the forbidden area? Ning restrained his desire to cultivate here and asked in a low voice. His top priority was to find Zhang Jun and Zhang He as soon as possible, and then control them. Only then could he get rid of the huge problem that was the Zhang clan once and for all. Go straight ahead. You will encounter 3 soul spirit array formations and 1 vital energy array formation. Sun Jiangwen replied honestly. At that time, I will naturally tell you how to break the array formation. Hearing Sun Jiangwen's words, Ningyu felt a lingering fear. Fortunately, he had captured Zhang Huang first and interrogated him about the forbidden area. Otherwise, he would definitely trigger the soul, spirit, and vital energy array formations. At that time, the consequences would be unimaginable. Kacha! What Ningyu did not know was that when he was rushing towards the deepest part of the forbidden area, in a secret chamber in the deepest part of the forbidden area, 2 martial artists were filled with rage. Among them, the late-stage yin-yang martial artist slammed his palm on the chair beside him, shattering it into pieces. Zhang Jun, activate the Soul Spirit Array Formation and Vital Energy Array Formation. We must kill this martial artist as soon as possible. The late-stage yin-yang martial artist said coldly, Grand Elder, isn't it a little too early to activate the Soul Spirit and Vital Energy Array Formations now? Chapter 6:25. Chapter 6:25. Meeting Ghost again. What is the meaning of this? Are you afraid of even a mid-yuan core stage warrior? Zhang, he said coldly, this is the forbidden area of the Zhang family. As long as the formation is activated, even a peak yin-yang stage warrior will have to face it. I am not afraid of Ningyu, but I am very confused, Zhang Jun said. Ningyu is only a mid-yuan core stage warrior. How can he enter the forbidden area? There are 2 layers of defense in the forbidden area, and a total of 4 early yin-yang stage warriors. Even if Ningyu could kill all of them, how did he open the bronze door? Zhang Jun continued, there are only 2 ways to open the bronze door. First, use my token, and second, use brute force to shatter the stone pillars. I don't believe that Ningyu can shatter the stone pillars with his mid-yuan core stage cultivation. Zhang Jun took out the Patriarch's token and played with it in his hand. What do you mean? Zhang, his face instantly darkened. Are you suspecting me? How could I suspect you? Zhang Jun explained. In less than an hour, the corpse sect will send experts to the Zhang family. If I'm not wrong, the corpse sect will only send experts for one purpose, and that is to mobilize the Zhang family's cultivators to the Coiling Dragon Ridge. Because the corpse sect is already at war with Dongwu College and the royal family, they will definitely not have enough people. You mean? Zhang, he vaguely guessed a possibility. He, call all the yin-yang realm martial artists of the Zhang family to the forbidden area. When the experts of the corpse yin sect arrive, we will activate the formation. Zhang Jun laughed. At that time we can say that someone trespassed, and we had no choice but to activate the formation. Suddenly, Zhang he twisted his neck and said, I know everything you said, but there is one thing you might not know. What do I not know? Zhang Jun asked doubtfully. Look at who I am. The corners of Zhang his lips curled up slightly. Then it was as if his entire being had been reborn. Even his appearance had changed greatly. Who are you? Zhang Jun roared as he pointed at the young martial artist in front of him. Facing Zhang Jun's roar, the young martial artist stomped on the ground, arriving in front of Zhang Jun in the blink of an eye. Crack! The young martial artist quickly stretched out his right hand and snapped Zhang Jun's neck before he could even react. Chi-chi! Then the young man placed his right hand on Zhang Jun's head and closed his eyes. In an instant, Zhang Jun's body seemed to have been sucked dry, leaving only a skeleton. Crack! Kicking Zhang Jun away, the young man said indifferently, Since you want to know who I am so badly, there's no harm in telling you. Corpse insect, Ghost Kai Palace Guei. Ningyu was completely unaware of what was happening in this secret room. At this moment, he was carefully moving forward. Due to Sun Jiangwen's secret reminders, his journey was relatively peaceful, and he didn't encounter any trouble. Whoosh! 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 However, just as Ningyu thought that the rest of the journey would be peaceful, for huge flags suddenly fell from the sky and landed around him. Then, for pillars of yuan qi shot out from the flags and enveloped him. For abnormally violent waves of yuan qi continuously surged out from the flags. Each wave of yuan qi was enough to kill a peak yuan core martial artist in an instant. Humph! Faced with such a powerful attack, Ningyu snorted coldly. Immediately, yuan qi burst out from his body and split into 4 streams, attacking the 4 flags respectively. The flags were the core of the yuan qi formation. Once they were all destroyed, it meant that the yuan qi formation would lose its effect. Crack! 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 In the next moment, for consecutive sounds rang out in the area. Unsurprisingly, the 4 flags were torn in half, and the yuan qi formation that had just been formed was easily destroyed. Crack! 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 However, before Ningyu had time to rejoice, a few crisp sounds entered his ears. Not long after, a young martial artist slowly appeared in the distance. "It's you." After seeing the young martial artist's face, Ningyu's heart trembled, and he said in surprise, "Gue-yi." Wrong. The Gue-yi in Ningyu's eyes shook his head and said, "To be precise, my name is not Gue-yi, but Gue-yi." "Gue-yi, are you the top genius of the Corpse Sex Ghost Kai Hall?" Ningyu frowned and asked, "You don't seem surprised by my identity at all. Are you not afraid of me?" Gue-yi was very dissatisfied with Ningyu's reaction. After all, he was the top genius of the Corpse Sex Ghost Kai Hall. Ningyu's expression did not seem to conform to common sense. "Why should I be afraid of you?" Ningyu felt a little strange. Most of the Corpse Sex Ghost Kai Hall's peerless geniuses had died in his hands. Even the Ghost Kai Hall's hall master had been killed by him. There was no need to be afraid of a mere top genius of the Ghost Kai Hall. "You seem very calm, but there is something I have to tell you," Gue-yi said coldly. "This is the Zhang family's forbidden area. Not long ago, the Zhang family's current patriarch, Zhang Jungang, was killed by me. Moreover, I used the Corpse Sex secret technique to devour his memories. Now, all the formations in this forbidden area are under my control. In other words, I don't even need to do anything to kill you." Ningyu listened quietly until Gue-yi finished speaking. Then he said, "You've made a big mistake." "Oh, what mistake?" Gue-yi raised his brows and stared at Ningyu with interest. "The reason I was able to enter the Zhang family's forbidden area was because I was prepared." Ningyu shrugged and said, "Hong Mo, Dark Emperor, come out." Whoosh! Whoosh! As soon as Ningyu finished speaking, Hong Mo and the Dark Emperor rushed out from the spatial ring. This aura seems to be very similar to the aura from the huge skeleton in the Corpse Sex treasury. Gue-yi wasn't scared by Hong Mo and the Dark Emperor. Instead, he sniffed and said, "If I'm not wrong, this black dog should be the heaven-devouring dog. You're a black dog. Your whole family is black dogs." The Dark Emperor hated it the most when people called him a dog. Hearing Gue-yi's words, he immediately couldn't stand it. "Calm down." Ningyu felt that Gue-yi's calmness was a little scary. He faintly felt that something was wrong. Haha, although the sky-devouring dog and the red-clothed man are at the initial yin-yang stage, they're nothing in front of me. Gue-yi smiled and waved his sleeves. In an instant, for rays of cold light shot out from his sleeves. Whoosh! As soon as the 4 cold lights left Gue-yi's sleeve, they revealed themselves. Spectre corpses. They were 4 spectre corpses. Chapter 6. 26. Bloodthirsty sword Ningyu. Don't you think you're weak in front of these four pinnacle yin-yang stage specter corpses? Gue pointed at the four powerful specter corpses and said, As long as you submit to me, not only will I spare your life, but I can also let you control the Zhang family in the capital. Don't be in such a hurry to reject me. The Zhang family is a first-rate force. If you control the Zhang family, your status in the capital will be comparable to the imperial family's upper echelons. Most importantly, you have no other choice now. You can only rely on me. Ningyu's face was gloomy, and he did not answer Gue immediately. Gue Yi's offer was indeed tempting, but Ningyu knew that things were not that simple. Taking a deep breath, Ningyu said in a deep voice, Gue, I admit that these four specter corpses are powerful, but it won't be easy for you to defeat me with them. Ha ha ha. Gue suddenly threw his head back and laughed wildly. He then said coldly, In this world where the weak are prey to the strong, you need to have the capital to be arrogant. I'm not being arrogant. I'm just stating the facts. After Ningyu said that, he waved his sleeves. Swish, 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 swish. In the next moment, for cold rays shot out from Ningyu's sleeves and wrapped around Ningyu. Puppets! Gue Yi's eyes narrowed as he stared at the four rays of cold light. His face instantly darkened. The four puppets that suddenly appeared all had auras that had reached the pinnacle of the yin-yang realm, comparable to the specter corpse that he had summoned out. Although the puppets were not a match for the specter corpses in terms of strength, it was easy for them to stall for a while. Ningyu, your puppets can at most contend with my specter corpses, but the rest of you won't be so lucky. Gue was worthy of being the #1 genius of the Ghost Talent Hall. He quickly regained his composure and said, Killing all of you is easier than killing dogs. Gue Yi's patience seemed to have worn thin. He tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and shot forward in a flash. His target was Ningyu. Whoosh! Whoosh! However, before Gue could reach Ningyu's side, the Red Devil and the Dark Emperor blocked his path. Gue Yi's current mood was to kill anyone who stood in his way. He was naturally fearless in the face of the early-stage yin-yang realm Red Devil and the Dark Emperor. Rumble. However, as soon as the battle began, First Ghost's heart thumped. The situation was completely different from what he had imagined. He had thought that he would be able to kill the man in red and the black dog easily. Who would have thought that they would unleash such a powerful attack and fight him to a standstill? This was something he could not accept. No matter what, he was the #1 genius of the Corpse Sex Ghost Talent Hall. The number of yin-yang realm cultivators that had died in his hands was at least 80. Not long after he had advanced to the peak of the Yuan Core realm, he had even personally killed a martial artist who had just advanced to the peak of the yin-yang realm. With such combat strength, there was no reason for him to be unable to take down 2 early-stage yin-yang realm cultivators and a dog. What Gue did not know was that the shock in Ningyu's heart was several times greater than his. The Red Devil had the Red Devil sword in his hand, and the Dark Emperor had also recovered to his peak. Their combat strength could even kill a mid-stage yin-yang realm martial artist in an instant. Since Gue was killed without even facing them, it meant that Gue Yi's combat strength was extremely powerful. At the very least, he had reached the late-stage yin-yang realm. Attack! In an instant, Ningyu made up his mind to kill Gue as soon as possible. He could not afford to delay until the powerhouses of the corpse sect arrived. Cold face, evil eye, come out. Since he was going to kill Gue with all his might, Ningyu naturally would not hide his strength. He immediately called out Cold Face and Evil Eye. Cold Face was at the peak of the late-stage yin-yang realm, while Evil Eye was at the peak of the mid-stage yin-yang realm. Their combined combat strength was not much weaker than the Red Devil and the Dark Emperor. Not good. There are actually 2 powerhouses here. Gue Yi's heart sank when he felt the powerful aura of Cold Face and Evil Eye. With such a luxurious lineup, It was no wonder that Ningyu dared to break into the Zhang family's forbidden area. Want to kill me? It won't be that easy. Gue Yi's eyes flashed coldly, and he immediately took out a flying sword from his bosom. The flying sword was red in color, and it contained a monstrous killing intent. Bloodthirsty sword. As soon as Gue Yi took out the flying sword, Cold-Face shouted, "It's actually a king rank low-grade flying sword, bloodthirsty sword. It's good that you know it. It's your honor to die under the bloodthirsty sword." Gue Yi forced out a few drops of his blood essence and dripped them on the bloodthirsty sword. Chi! The moment the blood essence and the bloodthirsty sword came into contact, a sizzling sound was heard, and then the blood essence fused with the bloodthirsty sword. Buzz! Buzz! The bloodthirsty sword kept shaking as the two fused, trying to break free from Gue Yi's grasp. "Don't worry, all of them will die later." The corner of Gue Yi's mouth rose, and he said coldly, "Let's kill them one by one. Let's kill that late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist first." Swoosh! When Gue Yi's last word fell, his body suddenly disappeared without a trace. Cold-Face, be careful! In fact, the moment Gue Yi disappeared, Ningyu had already guessed what he was going to do. Pucci! However, Ningyu's warning was obviously half a beat too late. Gue Yi instantly appeared in front of Cold-Face, and the bloodthirsty sword in his hand fiercely stabbed at Cold-Face's heart. Fortunately, Cold-Face dodged in time, and his body moved slightly to the side. Otherwise, Gue Yi's attack alone would be enough to send him back to his hometown. Although Cold-Face dodged the fatal blow, the bloodthirsty sword still pierced his body. In just a few seconds, Cold-Face's aura dropped from the peak late-stage Yin-Yang realm to the early-stage Yin-Yang realm, and it was still dropping rapidly. Damn it! The sudden change caught Ningyu off guard. Cold-Face's cultivation base was at the peak late-stage Yin-Yang realm, and his combat strength could be ranked among the top among them. Since Gue Yi could defeat him so easily, didn't that mean that Gue Yi's strength could contend with a peak Yin-Yang realm martial artist? With that thought in mind, Ningyu gritted his teeth and hurriedly said, "Hong Mo, give me the red devil sword." Understood. Gue Yi's powerful combat strength also caused Hong Mo's face to turn solemn. When he heard Ningyu's words, he immediately fused with the red devil sword and controlled it to tear through the void, appearing in front of Ningyu. "Dark Emperor, all of you get out of the way." Ningyu grabbed the red devil sword, and then the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness surged out and frantically poured into the red devil sword. Buzz! As Yuan Qi continued to pour in, the red devil sword also emitted a faint trembling sound, and the trembling became more and more intense. In the end, the red devil sword also had the urge to break free from Ningyu. Insignificant skill. Gue Yi did not take the red devil sword seriously. He once again forced out a drop of blood essence and dripped it on the bloodthirsty sword. Chapter 6:27. Chapter 6:27. Bring it on! Ningyu's face lit up with joy as he watched the bloodthirsty sword approach him. He forced a drop of blood onto the red demon's sword and threw it with all his might. Haha, my bloodthirsty sword is a low-grade king, rank flying sword. It's almost a mid-grade king, rank flying sword. Gue Yi frowned and said, "You dare to let your flying sword collide with the bloodthirsty sword? I have to say you're really... What?" Gue Yi couldn't help but laugh when he saw Ningyu throw the red demon sword. However, just as he was about to mock Ningyu, his eyes widened and a cold expression appeared on his face. Ding! The two flying swords collided, and a crisp sound resounded in the area. Then the bloodthirsty sword was like a kite with a broken string, falling straight into the distance and smashing heavily into the ground. "This is impossible." Gue Yi had never imagined that the bloodthirsty sword that he was so proud of would be defeated so thoroughly and without any warning. Nothing is impossible. Ning Yu waved the red demon sword in his hand and said indifferently, "The bloodthirsty sword is a low-grade king rank flying sword, and the flying sword in my hand is higher than that. To be precise, my flying sword has reached the peak of king rank." "Impossible! Absolutely impossible!" Gu-ei, Yi almost roared. "You're only a mid-grade primal core cultivator. How can you control a peak king rank flying sword? I know you want to divert my attention and wait for an opportunity to make a move. I'll tell you the truth. I won't let you succeed. Evil Eye, go control the bloodthirsty sword. The Dark Emperor and I will deal with Gu-ei. Ning, you didn't care about Gu-ei's reaction. There were less than 30 minutes left until the 1-hour deadline. What he needed to do was capture or kill Gu-ei as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would be exposed when the corpse sect powerhouses arrived. Without the bloodthirsty sword, Gu-ei's combat strength would drop by at least 30 to 40%. In other words, Gu-ei's current strength could only contend with a late-stage yin-yang stage martial artist. If he and the Dark Emperor joined hands, they were not afraid of late-stage yin-yang realm martial artists. Rumble. While Ning Yu and Gu-ei were engaged in a fierce battle, the other 4 puppets were gradually showing signs of weakening. After all, the spirit corpses had a small amount of intelligence. The puppets could contend with them for a short period of time, but in the long run, it was inevitable that they would be defeated. Ha ha ha, Ning Yu, the spectral corpse will completely destroy the puppet in 10 minutes. How are you going to fight me then? First Ghost was naturally aware of the situation on the other side of the battlefield. He laughed loudly and said, "If you know what's good for you, noisy." Ning Yu interrupted Gu-ei's words and immediately slashed out a sky-shaking sword wave towards Gu-ei's neck. Go! A cold light shot out from the Dark Emperor's eyes, and it shot towards Gu-ei along with the sword wave. Humph! You want to defeat me in 10 minutes with just the 2 of you trash? Dream on. Although Gu-ei had lost the bloodthirsty sword, he was still as arrogant as ever. Even if I don't use the bloodthirsty sword, killing late-stage yin-yang realm martial artists is like child's play to me. The great elder of the Zhang family, Zhang He, was a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist. When Gu-ei killed him, he did not use the bloodthirsty sword. Instead, he relied on a variety of spells to kill him. Therefore, Gu-ei was very confident that he could withstand the attack for 10 minutes. I'll let you show off for another 10 minutes. 10 minutes. The corner of Gu-ei's mouth curled up as he said sinisterly. However, before Gu-ei could finish his words, he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura instantly dropped from the pinnacle Yuan core stage to the late stage Yuan core stage. Hee, Gu-ei, I might have to disappoint you. The Dark Emperor laughed when he saw the cold light he had slashed at Gu-ei's neck. It's easier for the 2 of us to kill a late-stage yin-yang realm martial artist than playing around. Oh, right. As he spoke, the Dark Emperor seemed to have thought of something, and added, "Recently there have been 4 or 5 pinnacle yin-yang realm martial artists who have died in our hands. You haven't even reached the yin-yang realm. Killing you won't give me any sense of accomplishment at all." Uft! Gu-ei spat out a mouthful of blood when he heard the Dark Emperor's mocking words. His body could not help but tremble. Damn it! I was too careless. Gu-ei cursed inwardly. His eyes quickly turned as he tried to think of a countermeasure. In Gu-ei's opinion, the black dog's cold light was nothing to be afraid of, so he only used 10% of his strength to block it. As for the remaining 90% of his strength, he put it all into Ning Yu's sword wave. In the end, he managed to block the sword wave, but the black dog's cold light slashed his throat. Gu-ei's face darkened when he felt the cold breath from his throat. He wished he could swallow the black dog alive. However, Gu-ei knew that he couldn't be impulsive. He had to stay calm. Ningyu, the experts from the corpse sect will arrive in less than half an hour. If they find out that I'm dead, they will definitely do everything they can to investigate. The closer it was to a life and death situation, the calmer Gue became. His calmness was somewhat terrifying. In fact, Ningyu admired Gue for being able to remain so calm even in the face of death. It had to be said that his mental fortitude was really strong. However, in the face of absolute strength, mental fortitude was nothing. To hell with it. Kacha! Ning, you didn't want to waste time with Gue. He stomped his feet on the ground, causing the bluestone floor to crack. Spectre corpses, come here. Seeing that Ningyu was about to arrive in front of him, Gue couldn't help but shout, 2 spectre corpses. Stall the 4 puppets. The other 2 go all out to kill Ningyu. It's too late to think of this now. Ningyu's eyes turned cold. The red demon's sword in his hand continued to expand in front of Gue eyes. Finally, it pierced Gue throat under his horrified gaze. Puff! The flying sword pierced Gue body and blood splattered everywhere. The scene was a little bloody. Come out. Gue firmly grabbed the red demon sword with both hands and wanted to pull it out from his neck. However, just as Gui's hands came into contact with the red demon sword, he screamed like a pig being slaughtered. Whoosh! 2 bloody palms fell to the ground. My hand. Gue lowered his head to look at his arm. His eyes were slightly bloodshot as he stuttered. Ningyu, return my... Plop! Before he could finish his sentence, Gui's body fell backward with a loud thud. Gue, you should feel honored to be killed by a Peak King rank flying sword. Chapter 628. Chapter 628. Secret Chamber. Gue was still alive, but he vomited another mouthful of blood when he heard Ningyu's words. Gue stretched out his hand with great difficulty and pointed at Ningyu. He wanted to say something, but before he could say anything, his eyes closed and he died on the spot. Bang! 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 With Gue dead, the combat strength of the 4 spectre corpses plummeted. The puppets seized the opportunity to push them back several meters. Ningyu, there's something strange about this bloodthirsty sword. Evil Eye's voice rang in Ningyu's ears. Ningyu was slightly stunned when he heard Evil Eye's words. He immediately moved to Evil Eye's side. What's strange? Ningyu frowned. Neither soul force nor Yuan Qi can enter the bloodthirsty sword. Evil Eye said honestly. Logically speaking, even if an ordinary inferior king rank flying sword can block soul force, it definitely can't block Yuan Qi. Now that this bloodthirsty sword can block both, there's an 80% chance that there's a treasure inside. There's a treasure? The Dark Emperor's eyes widened when he heard that there was a treasure inside the bloodthirsty sword. He immediately flew over. I'm a heaven-devouring dog. My perception is different from yours. Perhaps I can enter the bloodthirsty sword to check it out. The Dark Emperor didn't wait for Ningyu's reply and immediately released his perception towards the bloodthirsty sword. In the beginning, the Dark Emperor was still very calm, wondering what treasure was inside the bloodthirsty sword. But as time went on, his expression became uglier and uglier. In the end, he even cursed. What the hell is this flying sword? Why can't my perception enter it? Let me give it a try. Seeing that the Dark Emperor had run into a wall, Hong Mo came out of the red demon sword and turned into an afterimage, flying towards the bloodthirsty sword. Hong Mo, let me remind you that this bloodthirsty sword is very hard. Be careful of your head, scalp. The Dark Emperor curled his lips. Just as he was about to mock Hong Mo, his voice gradually weakened when he saw Hong Mo enter the bloodthirsty sword. Ningyu is going to be rich this time. Not long after the Red Devil entered the bloodthirsty sword, he sent a shocking piece of good news to Ningyu. There are 2 array formations in the bloodthirsty sword. One of them contains a large amount of soul force, while the other contains a large amount of yuan qi. Soul force? Yuan qi? Ningyu was puzzled. If I'm not wrong, soul power is pure soul power, and essence energy is superior essence energy. It's even in the liquid state, said Red Fiend again. What? This time, Ningyu was so surprised that he almost jumped up. Pure soul power was still all right. After all, it could only increase the strength of his soul power to the 6th grade. But liquid yuan qi could even increase his cultivation level to the pinnacle of the primal core stage. As the level of contact changed, Ningyu's opponents also became stronger and stronger. Now, Ningyu could faintly feel that the middle stage of the primal core stage was not enough. He had to quickly increase his cultivation to the pinnacle of the primal core stage, or even the yin-yang stage. Only then would he be able to face the pinnacle of the yin-yang stage in the future and not be at a disadvantage. How long will it take to break these 2 arrays? Ningyu asked in a deep voice. The yuan qi array doesn't need to be broken at all because there is already a small hole in it. According to my observation, it should be Gue who quietly opened it and didn't have the time to close it. Good. Draw out the yuan qi from the bloodthirsty sword. I want to cultivate. Also, go and control the puppets and ghost corpses. Let's get out of here, quickly. There was less than half an hour before the experts from the corpse sect arrived. In other words, Ningyu only had half an hour to reach the late stage of the primal core stage, or even the pinnacle of the primal core stage. The task was more difficult, and there was no time to waste. Dark Emperor, quickly clean up the battlefield with Evil Eye. We will leave in 1 minute. Although time was tight, Ningyu still ordered in an orderly manner. Understood. The Dark Emperor was very sensible. He immediately cooperated with Evil Eye to clean up the battlefield and try to restore this area. A minute later, Ningyu took the lead and rushed into the depths of the Zhang family's forbidden area at an extremely fast speed. As for the Dark Emperor and Evil Eye, they followed closely behind Ningyu. Since Gue had already been killed, Ningyu and the others did not encounter any danger along the way. Not even a single array was triggered. After about 3 or 4 minutes, Ningyu and the others stopped. There are 2 secret rooms here. The yuan qi on the left is 6 times stronger than the outside world, and the one on the right is 8 times stronger. Ningyu pointed to the 2 secret rooms on the left and said in a deep voice, I will go to the 6 times secret room to cultivate alone. You guys go to the 8 times secret room to cultivate. No need. Let's go to the 6 times secret room. The Dark Emperor waved his hand, then stomped on the ground and rushed into the secret room that was 6 times bigger. Seeing the Dark Emperor's actions, Evil Eye hurriedly followed behind the Dark Emperor into the 6 times secret room. Ningyu knew that the Dark Emperor and the others had good intentions, so he did not argue. He immediately rushed out in a flash and rushed into the 8 times secret room. Crash! The moment Ningyu entered the 8 times secret room, he could feel the extremely dense essence energy rushing towards him. This feeling was even more terrifying than when he was on the 10th floor of the Ivory Tower. Red Devil, use all your strength to draw out the liquid yuan qi. Ningyu took a deep breath and sat down cross-legged. As he channeled the spirit transformation art, he said to the Red Devil, Buzz, buzz! The Red Devil was already prepared. Hearing Ningyu's words, he immediately controlled the bloodthirsty sword, allowing the liquid yuan qi to gush out from the tip of the sword, causing it to float above Ningyu's head. Absorb! Ningyu bellowed, and an extremely powerful suction force was emitted from his body. This suction force was unusually violent, other than the liquid yuan qi in the bloodthirsty sword. Even the yuan qi in the secret room was sucked to the front of Ningyu. In the next moment, Ningyu opened his mouth and sucked the yuan qi into his stomach. Then, according to the guidance of the spirit transformation art, it slowly circulated around his body. After about 4 to 5 minutes, the pure yuan qi that had been filtered by the spirit transformation art entered Ning Yu's mind. After the pure yuan qi entered Ning Yu's mind, it was quickly snatched up by the 7 golden core cultivators. There's hope. At this speed, I can advance to the peak of the primal core stage in about half an hour. Ning Yu was overjoyed and sped up the circulation of the spirit transformation art again. Swoosh! At the same time, in front of the main entrance of the Zhang family, 2 martial artists in black robes appeared out of thin air. You are... Pan Zhang and Yuan Nan saw the 2 martial artists in black robes, and their eyes narrowed as they shouted. However, just as they spoke, their vision went black and they fainted. You guys wait here first. We'll gather all the powerful fighters from the Zhang family and then head to Panlong Ridge at full speed. One of the martial artists in black robes said coldly. His figure became illusory and disappeared in the blink of an eye. We've gone to a few families and only managed to gather 30 Yin-Yang realm martial artists. I hope the Zhang family won't let us down. Chapter 6, 29. Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll. Azura! Why didn't I feel the aura of a peak Yin-Yang realm cultivator in the Zhang family? Is the Zhang family's ancestor not in the Zhang family? After entering the Zhang family's courtyard, one of the black-robed martial artists frowned and said, the Zhang family's ancestor is at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. He alone is equivalent to a dozen early and middle Yin-Yang realm martial artists. Gui Sha, this might be your first time coming to the Zhang family. The black-robed martial artist called Azura smiled and said, the Zhang family is a first-class force. The structure of their forbidden area is very ingenious. Unless you are a half-step manifestation realm martial artist, you won't be able to explore the situation inside. So powerful? Gui Sha was surprised. Logically speaking, a family that could build such a forbidden area must have a manifestation realm martial artist. Could it be that the Zhang family has a manifestation realm martial artist? Thinking of this, Gui Sha's face became extremely solemn. He and Azura were only at the peak of Yin-Yang realm, which was still some distance away from the half-step manifestation realm. If they encountered a half-step manifestation realm martial artist now, they would only be dead. Don't worry, the Zhang family doesn't have a manifestation realm martial artist. Azura said lightly, it is said that the ancestor of the Zhang family had the ability of Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll. The reason why the Corpse Yin sect took such a big risk to control the Zhang family was because we wanted to obtain the Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll of the Zhang family's ancestor. Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll. Gui Sha's position in the Corpse Yin sect seemed to be much lower than Azura's, so he didn't know any of these secrets. Let's not think about these things for now. What we need to do now is to find the Zhang family's ancestor as soon as possible and ask him to gather all the Yin-Yang realm martial artists in the Zhang family and go to the Coiling Dragon Ridge. Azura waved his hand and then quickly jumped. Soon, he appeared in front of the Zhang family's forbidden area. No one. Looking at the empty front door of the courtyard, Azura frowned and became more vigilant. This wasn't the first time he came to the Zhang family's forbidden area. In the past few times, there were Yin-Yang realm martial artists guarding the front door and inside the courtyard. Now there wasn't even a shadow. No wonder he was confused. Be careful. Shura reminded Gui Sha. Then he released his perception and approached the bronze stone gate where the forbidden area was located step by step. The bronze door has been opened. Looks like the Zhang family has encountered some unforeseen event. Azura took a deep breath. Although it wasn't his first time entering the Zhang family's forbidden area, he was still extremely careful. The design of the Zhang clan's forbidden ground was very ingenious, and there were many arrays and mechanisms. Even if he was at the pinnacle of Yin-Yang realm, he would still be in trouble if he came into contact with some hidden places. After all, this was a forbidden land that was opened up by the ghost hatchet divine scroll. Even a martial artist who was half a step into the blessed realm would not dare to cause too much trouble. After stepping on the other side of the bronze door, Azura carefully moved forward according to the previous route. While walking, Shura also exerted his perception to prevent possible dangers. Until they entered the depths of the Zhang family's forbidden area, Azura and the others did not encounter any danger. Although there was no danger, Shura still stopped because he saw 2 secret rooms. The yuan qi in these 2 secret rooms seems to be much denser than the outside world. Gue Sha released his perception and probed the outside of the secret room. After a while, Gue Sha retracted his perception and said, "The yuan qi in the secret room on the left is 6 times that of the outside world, and the one on the right is 8 times. Let's take a look." Azura pondered for a moment, pointed to the secret room that was 6 times, and said, "Open the secret room first." "No problem." Gue Sha nodded and came to the door of the secret room that was 6 times. Swoosh! However, just when Gue Sha wanted to stretch out his hands to push the door of the secret room, a few figures suddenly rushed out of the secret room. "Who is it?" Looking at the figures that suddenly appeared, Gue Sha's heart tightened and he hurriedly retreated. However, when Gue Sha sensed the fluctuation of yuan qi contained in the figures, his face instantly became relaxed. A pinnacle late-stage yin-yang realm, a pinnacle middle-stage yin-yang realm, a black dog. No, it should be a heaven-devouring dog. Gue Sha's lips curled up and he said sinisterly, "You guys shouldn't be from the Zhang family. Tell me, why are you in the Zhang family's forbidden area?" "We are not from the Zhang family, and neither are the 2 of you," the Dark Emperor said coldly. "You guys can come in, why can't we?" Hee. You're still so stubborn even when you're about to die. Forget it, I'll teach you a lesson. Gue Sha smiled and rose from the ground, appearing beside the Dark Emperor in the blink of an eye. Bang! In the next moment, Gue Sha's fist brought with it a violent yuan qi wind, and it landed right on the Dark Emperor's chest. A huge force came from his chest, causing the Dark Emperor's body to fall back, only coming to a stop when he crashed into the stone wall. Pucci! He spat out a mouthful of dark red blood, and his aura became slightly weak. F***CK. The Dark Emperor was so angry that his body was trembling. When he was fighting against Yen Fu and Zhongshan, he was defeated in 1 move. Now he was defeated in 1 move again. An underage, heaven-devouring dog can actually cultivate to the early stage yin-yang realm. Not simple at all. Casually pushing the Dark Emperor back, Gue Sha said indifferently, "Speak! Why did you come to the Zhang family's forbidden grounds? Also, where are the Zhang family's ancestor and patriarch? Ningyu is on the verge of advancing. We must buy him enough time." The Dark Emperor was not a fool. Generally speaking, if he met 2 warriors at the peak of the yin-yang realm, Ningyu would definitely rush out immediately. Since Ningyu did not come out, it meant that Ningyu was at a critical juncture in his advancement and could not split himself up. Thinking of this, the Dark Emperor said calmly, "We came to the Zhang family's forbidden grounds for 2 reasons. "Oh, tell me about it." The Azura raised his eyebrows and said, "Firstly, we are here to investigate the cause of Zhang Shan's death." The Dark Emperor began to brag. "Secondly, discuss with the Zhang family's patriarch about tomorrow's pill refining competition and see who the Zhang family will send to participate." Zhang Shan is dead? The Azura and Gue Sha were stunned at the same time. Zhang Shan was a warrior at the peak of the yin-yang realm, and most of the experts from Danwu College and the imperial family were in the coiling Dragon Ridge. At this time, who else had the ability to kill Zhang Shan? That's right, about 3 to 4 hours ago. The Dark Emperor did not lie. In that case, your relationship with the Zhang family is not bad. The Azura pondered for a moment, then changed the topic and said coldly, "Why didn't you enter the 8 times secret room to cultivate, but instead entered the 6 times secret room?" Gue Sha, Without waiting for the Dark Emperor to reply, the Asura said in a deep voice, "Go to the 8 times secret room to take a look." Yes, without any hesitation, Guay Shah immediately leaped up and rushed towards the 8 times secret room. Cold face, evil eye attack. The sudden change caused the Dark Emperor's expression to change drastically. Ning Yu was on the verge of advancing. No matter what, he could not let the 2 warriors at the peak of the Yin Yang realm disturb Ning Yu. Chapter 630. In time whoosh, whoosh. When Lung Mian and Evil Eye heard the Dark Emperor's anxious words, they did not hesitate at all. They immediately leaped up and stood in front of Guay Shah. Humph! 2 pieces of trash. Want to stop me? Courting death. Guay Shah was not frightened by Lung Mian and Evil Eye. Instead, he coldly snorted and pushed his fists out, colliding with Lung Mian and Evil Eye's fists. Ka-cha! Ka-cha! A crisp sound rang out in front of the secret chamber. Ah! The immense pain coming from their wrists caused Lung Mian and Evil Eye to let out hysterical screams at the same time. Oh no, this Yin Peak martial artist is much stronger than Zhang Shan. The Dark Emperor never expected Lung Mian and the others to be defeated so quickly. Originally, in his heart, no matter how bad the cold face and the evil eye were, they would be able to block Guay Shah for a minute or 2. Now that they were defeated in the first exchange, it was far beyond his expectations. There should be someone in the 8X secret chamber. Guay Shah kicked Lung Mian and Evil Eye away. His lips curled up as he walked towards the 8 times secret chamber. It looked like Guay Shah was walking very slowly, but that was not the case. His body gradually became illusory, and in the blink of an eye he arrived in front of the 8 times secret room. Roar! Just as Guay Shah was about to push open the door to the secret room, the Dark Emperor roared towards the sky, and his body instantly grew several times larger. At the same time, a pair of purplish golden wings appeared on the Dark Emperor's back, and they quickly flapped, bringing him into the air. The Emperor of the Sky-Devouring Dog Clan. Purple Gold Sky-Devouring Hound. The sudden change caused Guay Shah and Xiao Luo's eyes to widen. Shock filled their faces. It had a pair of purple gold wings on its back. It was the Emperor of the Heaven-Devouring Hound clan, the Purple Gold Heaven-Devouring Hound. Guay Shah, leave this Heaven-Devouring Hound to me. You go open the 8 times secret chamber. Asura was indeed a martial artist at the peak of the Yin Yang realm. He reacted quickly. After reacting, the Shura immediately ordered Guay Shah to open the 8 times secret room. He would personally capture the Dark Emperor. Understood. The corner of Guay Shah's lips curled up. He then extended his palm and attempted to push open the door to the secret room. Not good. As soon as Guay Shah's palm touched the stone door of the secret room, his expression changed and he immediately retreated. Rumble. A loud rumble resounded as a young cultivator slowly walked out from the chamber. This young martial artist first looked at Lung Mian and Evil Eye, who had weak auras, and then his gaze landed on the Dark Emperor. Feeling the Dark Emperor's slightly weak aura, the young martial artist's face instantly darkened, and he said coldly, "You hurt my brother. You too have to leave something behind." The young martial artist was none other than Ning Yu. Hearing Ning Yu's words, Asura and Ghost Fiend were stunned on the spot. What was wrong with this world? The young martial artist in front of him didn't even seem to have reached the Yin Yang stage. What right did a martial artist who wasn't even in the Yin Yang realm have to talk to them like that? Don't tell me I don't have to pay taxes for acting tough now? What do you want us to leave behind? Asura crossed his arms and asked, "If I'm not wrong, you too should be from the Corpsine sect." Ningyu pondered for a moment and then said, "It might be cruel to let you leave your hands and feet behind to deal with the cultivators of the Corpse sect. Since that's the case, then leave your lives behind." Uft. Asura and Ghost Fiend couldn't help but laugh out loud. The first sentence was that it was cruel to leave their hands and feet behind, and the second sentence was that they should leave their lives behind. Arrogant. The first impression that Ningyu gave Azura and the others was that he was too arrogant, even more arrogant than Gue-I from the Ghost Talent Temple. Gue-I had the qualifications to be arrogant. After all, he had many magic treasures, and his strength wasn't weak. He could compete with a peak Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Brat, you know we're from the Corpsine sect, but you still dare to be arrogant. I have to say I admire you. Azura said gloomily. In order to reward you, I've decided to refine you into a corpse. Before Azura could finish a sentence, a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. Walala! Azura discovered that the space around Ningyu suddenly cracked, and several figures appeared from the void. Gulp! Seeing the figures that suddenly appeared, even Azura, who had reached the peak Yin-Yang realm, couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Puppets! Ghost corpses! Moreover, the cultivation of these puppets and ghost corpses had reached the peak Yin-Yang realm. No wonder this young martial artist dared to be so arrogant. It turned out that he had such a trump card. 4 puppets at the peak Yin-Yang realm, and 4 ghost corpses at the peak Yin-Yang realm. Such a lineup was enough to equalize the strength of the two sides. Their advantage was gone in an instant. Ningyu, you've advanced to the peak Yuan Dan realm. Azura and Ghost Fiend ignored Ningyu's cultivation, but the Dark Emperor didn't. The Dark Emperor clearly remembered that when Ningyu entered the 8 times secret chamber, his cultivation was only at the middle stage of the Yuan Dan realm. Now, Ningyu's cultivation was completely beyond his imagination. Peak Yuan Dan realm. Moreover, as Ningyu stood there, his body seemed to fuse with the void. This state was clearly a sign that he was about to break through the peak Yuan Dan realm and advance to the Yin-Yang realm. I was just lucky. Ningyu nodded slightly at the Dark Emperor and said in a deep voice, Bring Lung Mian and the rest to the 8 times secret chamber first. Leave the matters here to me. Leave it to you? Can you handle it? Hearing Ningyu's words, Azura snorted coldly and immediately dashed out. Under the Dark Emperor's horrified gaze, he punched at Ningyu's head. Azura's punch contained extremely violent yuan qi. If Ningyu was unlucky enough to be hit, he would at least be crippled. Brat, today I let you know that there are some people you can never offend in your life. As he got closer to Ningyu, Azura said coldly, Offending the corpse sect, you? What? Suddenly, Azura's heart skipped a beat and he hurriedly retreated. Afterimage. Azura was greatly shocked in his heart because even he hadn't noticed when Ningyu had vanished. He only knew that his fist passed through Ningyu's body without any warning. Red Devil, control the puppets and ghost corpses to fight against that peak Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Leave this to me. Ningyu appeared on the other side and casually threw the Red Devil sword. Whoosh! In the next moment, a red-clothed man flew out from the Red Devil sword and controlled the puppets and ghost corpses to attack Gue-Sha. Gue-Sha, hold on for 10 seconds. After 10 seconds, I'll go help you. Azura turned around and glanced at Gue-Sha. Then, the yuan qi in his body surged, and a monstrous and violent yuan qi surged out from his body. Qi. This yuan qi was abnormally violent and even made sizzling sounds when it came into contact with the air. Feeling the yuan qi fluctuation from Azura's fist, Ningyu's heart sank to the bottom. Azura's strength was much stronger than Zhongshan and Yen Fu. Chapter 631. Upper Hand, Shura Palm. Shura's eyes turned cold, and he struck out a shocking palm print. Reincarnation Palm. Ningyu took a deep breath, and the violent yuan qi in his sea of consciousness surged out and gathered on his wrist. He struck out a powerful palm print. Crack! The moment the 2 palm prints came into contact with each other, they shattered in unison. Damn it! Azura cursed inwardly when he saw the palm print he had blasted out shattering, and then he blasted out several more shocking palm prints. Solitaire. Ningyu naturally did not wait for death. After advancing to the pinnacle of the primordial core realm, the yuan qi in his body had increased by several times. Solitaire, which was executed with a king-level inferior-grade soul-chasing sword, was many times more powerful. Whoosh! Several sword waves shot out from the soul-chasing sword and collided head-on with Azura's palm print. This time, both sides were evenly matched again. The sword waves and palm prints dissipated at the same time. Ghost corpses attack from the front, puppets attack from the side. While Ningyu and Shura were fighting, the Red Fiend and Guisha were also fighting. However, the Red Fiend had the puppets and ghost corpses, so the pressure was much less. In fact, the Red Fiend had the king-level Red Fiend sword and had the upper hand. Damn! Why is this early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist so powerful? Guisha was suffering in silence. He had to resist the attacks of the puppets and ghost corpses while being careful of the Red Fiend's sneak attacks. Originally, Guisha thought that the Red Fiend was just a wax figure that looked good but was useless. However, after exchanging blows, he realized that he was wrong. Although the Red Fiend was only at the early-stage Yin-Yang realm, his overall strength was much stronger than the early-stage purple gold sky swallowing dog. Although the Red Fiend's sword played a part in this, it was undeniable that the Red Fiend was indeed very strong. The Sky Swallowing Dog clan, especially the purple gold Sky Swallowing Dog, was known to be invincible among those of the same level. The strength that the Red Fiend displayed was enough to kill a Sky Swallowing Dog of the same level. Azura, I can't hold on any longer. Hurry up and get rid of that brat, then come and help me. Guisha was very rational. He knew that if this continued, he would not be able to hold on for long, so he sent a distress signal to Azura. Give me some more time. Azura shouted in a low voice after turning his head to look at Guisha's condition. Guisha's situation was not good, but he didn't know that Shura was also very irritated. Even though he was at the pinnacle of the Yin-Yang stage, he had not been able to take down Ningyu, who was at the pinnacle of the primal core stage. If word of this got out, how could he keep a foothold in the Corpsine sect? No matter what, Ningyu must die today. Thunder Palm! In the next moment, Shura's pupils turned dark green, and his figure instantly appeared beside Ningyu. Then the Azura pushed out his right palm and smashed it towards Ningyu's head. Soul Attack Palm Technique. Ningyu's expression changed drastically when he felt the powerful soul pressure from the Azura's palm. Without much time to think, Ningyu immediately released his pinnacle rank 5 soul force and wrapped it around his wrist, ready to meet Shura's palm. Sun Jiangwen, transfer your pinnacle rank 7 soul force to me. Quickly! When his palm was only 10 centimeters away from Shura's palm, Ningyu suddenly thought of something and hurriedly contacted Sun Jiangwen. From the soul pressure emitted from Shura's palm, Ningyu could tell that Shura's soul force had reached the advanced stage of rank 7. Sun Jiangwen's soul force was at the pinnacle of rank 7. With Sun Jiangwen's help, coupled with a professional soul attack like the Netherworld Samsara Palm, Ningyu was confident that he could severely injure Shura. Ha ha ha, brat, you've been tricked. I'm not using an ordinary palm technique, but a soul attack palm technique. Seeing that Ningyu wanted to meet his palm without any intention of dodging, Azura faced the sky and laughed. I'll tell you the truth. My spiritual force is at the late stage, grade 7. You're destined to die if you meet my palm. Noisy! Ning, you could not be bothered with Shura. Instead, he transferred Sun Jiangwen's pinnacle rank 7 soul force into his palm, which inevitably collided with Shura's palm. When the two palms collided, Shura was a little stunned, because what he expected did not happen. Ningyu was still standing in front of him, safe and sound, and even had a slight smile on his face. Surprised? Ningyu's lips curled up, and he said calmly, Not only do I know that you're using a soul attack, but I also know that your soul force has reached the advanced stage of rank 7. But what you don't know is that I'm also using a soul attack, and there's a pinnacle rank 7 soul force in my body. After Ningyu said this, Shura suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his body retreated. Your soul attack magic technique is much weaker than mine. Ningyu did not follow up with another attack. Instead, he said, if I'm not wrong, your 5 viscera and 6 bowels are currently being ravaged by a pinnacle rank 7 soul force. If you don't get treated in time, you might die here. Even if I can't use my soul force, it's still very easy for me to kill you. Shura coldly snorted. Sigh. You're still so stubborn even when you're about to die. Ningyu sighed and slowly said, if you didn't try to be smart and use a soul attack, I wouldn't have been able to kill you. But you're too stupid to think that you can defeat me with a soul attack. Come out, Sun Jiangwen. Swish. As soon as Ningyu finished speaking, a figure flew out from the storage ring on his wrist. You're Sun Jiangwen from the Alchemist Hall. When Shura first saw Sun Jiangwen, he felt that he had seen him somewhere before, and hurriedly searched through his memories. Soon, Shura knew the true identity of the martial artist in front of him, an alchemist second only to the Alchemist Hall master, Sun Jiangwen. That's right, he's Sun Jiangwen from the Alchemist Hall. Ningyu nodded and said with a smile, in addition to him, the Alchemist Hall master is also in my hands. Oh, by the way, the deaths of the other sub-hall masters are also related to me. When Shura heard the first part of Ningyu's sentence, he didn't think much of it, but when he heard the second part of Ningyu's sentence, he was so angry that he spat out another mouthful of blood. He could never have imagined that the culprit behind the war between the Corpse sect, the Imperial family, and Donu College at the Panlong Ridge was this peak primal core martial artist in front of him. The reason why the Corpse sect started a war with the Imperial family was mainly because they wanted to investigate the deaths of the sub-hall masters. Now, this peak primal core martial artist in front of him actually said that this shocking tragedy of the Corpse sect was related to him. How could Shura not be surprised? Good chance. Shura was already in deep trouble, and now that he spat out another mouthful of blood, his aura directly dropped to the freezing point. Ningyu naturally seized this opportunity. Holding the soul-chasing sword, he wrapped the blue spiritual fire around the sword and fiercely stabbed at Shura's heart. Damn it, Guisha! Looking at the approaching Ningyu and the flying sword, Shura cursed and shouted, Quickly get the Yin-Yang martial artist in front of the Zhang family's gate to come here. Understood. Chapter 632. A Helping Hand. There are more than 30 Yin-Yang realm martial artists in front of the Zhang family's gate. When they come, all of you will be Azura. After crushing the crystal ball, Guisha said some harsh words. However, before he could finish his words, his eyes widened and his eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Miserable shrieks that sounded like pigs being slaughtered resounded in the area. In an instant, time seemed to have stopped. Even the air was filled with an unbelievable aura. Shura's palm touched his heart. Then he looked up at Ningyu. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but before he could say a word, his body fell forward. Bang! The sound of flesh hitting the ground rang out. It was so clear, so terrifying. At this moment, Guisha was stunned on the spot. Dead. Azura, who was at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm, was dead. This was something that Guisha couldn't have imagined. If he hadn't determined Ningyu's true age, Guisha would have suspected that Ningyu was an old monster who had used a disguise technique, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. Gulp. After a while, Guisha swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The fear on his face was revealed without any attempt to hide it. Hangemo, do it. Ningyu didn't care about Guisha's expression. There was only one thought in his mind, and that was to kill Guisha as soon as possible. What Gui Sha said just now was still fresh in Ning Yu's memory. There were more than 30 Yinyang realm martial artists in front of the Zhang family's gate. If they couldn't kill Gui Sha as soon as possible, they would all die when the 30 Yinyang realm martial artists arrived. The most important thing now was to kill Gui Sha as soon as possible, and then use the natural barrier of the Zhang family's forbidden area to deal with the 30 Yinyang realm martial artists. It's not that easy to kill me. Gui Sha was indeed a peak Yinyang realm martial artist of the corpse insect. The 30 Yinyang realm martial artists in front of the Zhang family's gate will only need a minute to get here. I don't believe that you can kill me within a minute. Gui Sha knew very well that with the speed of a Yinyang realm martial artist, they would arrive very quickly. In other words, as long as he persisted for a minute, he would have the absolute advantage when the Yinyang realm martial artists arrived. At that time, not only would he be able to kill the martial artist in front of him, but he would also be able to obtain the 4 puppets and 4 specter corpses. Puppets and spectral corpses were no less useful than Asuras in the battle at Coiling Dragon Ridge. Some things, it's not about whether you believe it or not, but it's already destined, Ning Yu said coldly. Ha ha ha. I, Gui Sha, do not believe in fate. Gui Sha laughed heartily. Soon after, he changed the topic and said, Although I cannot contend against you in terms of pure strength, it will be very difficult for you to stop me if I want to leave. Really? Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and said calmly, You can try. Humph. I'll give it a try. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Gui Sha snorted coldly. Then he tore open the void with both hands and dived in. Bang! Bang! However, not long after Gui Sha dived into the void, he was blasted out of the void by 2 powerful attacks. I've said it before. You can't escape. Ning Yu said indifferently. If you had stayed and fought, you might have been able to last for a minute. But your mistake was trying to escape. Unfortunately, I already know where you are in the void, so you can't escape. Impossible. How can you know where I am in the void? Gui Sha shouted. Of course, Ning Yu knows where you are in the void. Just then, the Dark Emperor walked out of the secret room slowly and said, Because I told him. The sky-swallowing dog race is extremely sensitive to the fluctuation of space. I can pinpoint your location to an extremely small area. There's still 30 seconds. Hong and Mo attacked together. Ning Yu twisted his neck and charged towards Gui Sha. Seeing Ning Yu attack, Hong Emo didn't stay idle. He held the red fiend's sword and followed, closely behind. As for the puppets and specter corpses, they naturally joined the battlefield and constantly pressured Gui Sha. Although Gui Sha's cultivation was also at the peak of the Yinyang realm, his strength was much weaker than Asura. Moreover, he was blasted out of the void by the specter corpses while he was escaping. Therefore, Ning Yu alone could fight against him. With the addition of Hong Mo and the puppets, they naturally defeated Gui Sha easily. Pooh! At this juncture, Ning Yu definitely wouldn't leave him alive. However, Ning Yu didn't do it himself. Instead, he left this opportunity to Hong Mo. To be precise, he left it to the Red Fiend Sword. The Red Fiend Sword was now at the peak of the King stage. He didn't know when it would advance again. Ning Yu had to do everything he could to fight for more energy for the Red Fiend Sword. The sound of a flying sword piercing a heart was heard. Until his death, Gui Sha still couldn't understand how he and Asura could both die here with their strength. Gui Sha might only be able to understand this question in his next life. There's still 10 seconds before those 30 Yinyang realm martial artists will arrive at the Zhang clan's forbidden area. It's too late to block the entrance now. Let's go in. Ning Yu didn't waste any time here. Instead, he said in a deep voice, Dark Emperor, enter the storage ring with Lung Mian and the rest. I'll lead the way with Hong Mo, the Dark Emperor, Lung Mian, and the rest were severely injured. If they were to follow by his side, it would be very troublesome if they encountered danger. Therefore, Ning Yu decided that he and Hong Mo would lead the puppets and specter corpses to lead the way while the Dark Emperor, Lung Mian, and the rest entered the storage ring to recuperate. Swoosh! The Dark Emperor didn't argue, and immediately carried Azura and Guaisha's corpses into the storage ring. The Dark Emperor's actions made Ningyu speechless. At this point, his principle of not wasting was still playing tricks on him. Let's go! Ningyu didn't lower himself to the Dark Emperor's level. After Lung Mian, Sun Jiangwen, and the rest entered the storage ring, he immediately leaped up and rushed towards the depths of the Zhang clan's forbidden area. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At the same time, at the entrance of the Zhang clan's forbidden area, more than 30 Yin-Yang realm martial artists appeared. Most of these martial artists were at the early stage Yin-Yang realm and middle stage Yin-Yang realm, but there were 2 late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists. This is the Zhang clan's forbidden area. It's said that it can trap half-step creation realm martial artists to death. Are we going in or not? Standing in front of the bronze door, an early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist said hesitantly, Azura and Guaisha are both peak Yin-Yang realm martial artists. If they feel that it's troublesome, we will only be cannon fodder if we go. So what if we don't go? Hearing the early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist's words, one of the late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists said, rather than dying in the coiling Dragon Ridge, it's better to die in the Zhang clan's forbidden area. Chapter 633. Mincing Ningyu had no idea what had happened in front of the Bronze Gate. After leaving the battlefield, he headed towards the depths of the Zhang family's forbidden ground without stopping. At first, he was very fast. However, as he went deeper, his speed became slower and slower. In the end, he could only move forward on foot. Even though he could only move forward on foot, Ningyu did not give up and continued to move forward step by step. About a quarter of an hour later, Ningyu suddenly stopped. The reason why he stopped was that there were 2 forks in front of him. The fork on the left was smaller and could only accommodate 1 person. The fork on the right was bigger and could accommodate 5 to 6 people. Which way? Hong Mo frowned and asked, Send 2 puppets into the fork. We'll wait here for the time being. Ningyu pondered for a moment and said, We can't determine which fork is safe now, so we can only rely on this method. Understood. The Red Devil responded and controlled the 2 puppets to enter the fork in the road. How is it? Ningyu could not help but ask 3 minutes later. We haven't reached the end yet. The 2 passages are like bottomless pits. It's not good. Uft. Hong Mo's expression changed drastically as he spat out a mouthful of blood. What happened? Ningyu helped Hong Mo up and released his soul power at the same time to check on Hong Mo's injuries. It's not a big deal. The puppets in the right passage encountered an extremely powerful array and were minced into pieces. Hong Mo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, As for the puppets in the left passage, they are safe and sound. They're still moving forward. Pissed. Although the Red Fiend said it casually, Ningyu still gasped. The puppets were made of materials comparable to martial artists at the peak of Yin-Yang realm. How could they be minced into pieces by the array? From this, it could be seen that the power of the array was terrifying. Even a half-step to manifestation realm martial artist might not be able to withstand it. Enter the left passage. The puppets have already passed through. There's no danger. At that moment, Red Fiend said. Hearing the Hong Mo's words, Ningyu did not hesitate. He immediately leaped up and rushed into the tunnel on the left. The Red Fiend also stood up from the ground and followed closely behind Ningyu into the tunnel on the left. Buzz. Not long after Ningyu and the Red Devil disappeared, 30 warriors appeared in the area. There are 2 passages here. Which one should we take? Asked an early-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist among the 30-odd martial artists. I'll lead a dozen people to the left. Han Ku will lead the rest to the right. One of the late Yin-Yang realm warriors released his perception and entered the two tunnels. After a while, he said, "Be careful. We'll keep in touch. Han-Yong, you should be careful as well. I have a feeling that there's something unusual about the Zhang clan's forbidden grounds." The late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist called Han nodded and leaped into the right passage. Behind him, more than a dozen Yin-Yang realm martial artists followed him into the tunnel without much hesitation. "Let's go too." Han-Yong took a deep breath and took the lead to enter the passageway on the left. The rest of the Yin-Yang realm martial artists followed behind him. Swish! In the tunnel on the right. As Han Ku and the rest went deeper, the temperature in the tunnel dropped. After about 3 minutes, the temperature dropped to the freezing point. "Han Ku, let's go back and meet up with Han Yong. This tunnel is too strange." Although the martial artists in the tunnel were all Yin-Yang realm, they were still not used to the sudden drop in temperature. At this moment, there were even some martial artists who wanted to retreat in their hearts. They had received Gui Sha's order to enter the Zhang clan's forbidden grounds, but ever since they entered the forbidden grounds, they had not received any news from Gui Sha. Even if they backed out now, it would make sense. Han Ke thought for a second and then made a decision that he would regret very much later. Continue forward. If we can't reach the end of the tunnel in 3 minutes, we'll go back. After making this decision, Han Ke wrapped his body with Yuan Qi and slowly moved forward. Swish! 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 Han Ke had just walked a few steps when his eyes revealed an extremely horrified expression. He saw the space in front of him suddenly split open, and several ice arrows shot out, attacking him at an extremely shocking speed. "Everyone, quickly release your Yuan Qi and form a Yuan Qi protective barrier." The overwhelming ice arrows caused Han Ke's scalp to go numb as he shouted hurriedly. Buzz! Actually, there was no need for Han Ke's reminder. The many martial artists behind him had already released their Yuan Qi and formed a Yuan Qi protective barrier around them. Crack! Crack! However, these martial artists' Yuan Qi protective barriers did not have much effect. The ice arrows seemed to have a very strong corrosive effect, instantly shattering the Yuan Qi protective barriers around these martial artists. Then the ice arrows turned into droplets of water and dripped on everyone's body. "Ah, my eyes, my hand, my head." Compared to the screams of the crowd, Han Ku was slightly better. After all, he was a late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Quickly inform Han Yong. Han Ke hurriedly took out a crystal ball from his bosom, whispered a few words to it, and was about to crush it. Swish! However, before Han Ku could crush the crystal ball, his eyes widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. He looked down at the ice arrow that had pierced his heart unknowingly, then looked at the crystal ball in his hand. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but his body fell backward with a thud. At the same time, at the end of the left tunnel, 2 martial artists looked at the suddenly open space in front of them and let out a long breath. Right in front of these 2 martial artists, there was a puppet slowly opening up a path. That's right, these 2 martial artists were Ning Yu and Hong Mo. After a period of walking, they finally left the left tunnel. F***CK. However, after taking a few steps in the wide space, Ning Yu cursed. Ning Yu even cursed all the ancestors of the Zhang family because he saw another 2 crossroads in front of him. Unlike the previous time, the crossroads this time were of the same size. Send 2 more puppets to scout the way. Ning Yu gritted his teeth. Ning Yu was very frustrated. If this crossroad was the same as the previous one, he would lose another puppet. Puppets were high-end combat power. Losing one made Ning Yu's heart bleed. However, he had no choice in the current situation. He could only bite the bullet and send the puppets into the crossroads. After the battle just now, the essence energy in his sea of consciousness had been depleted, leaving only a little. Although Hong Mo was in a better state than him, His combat power had been reduced by more than half, and he was in urgent need of recuperation. If it was just recuperation, Ningyu wouldn't be in a hurry. The key was that there were no more transcendent-grade essence crystals in the storage ring. The transcendent-grade essence crystals in the storage ring were all used to control the puppets. If they wanted to recover to their peak state, they needed a large amount of essence energy. Although it was an unknown area ahead, it was much better than staying behind to face more than 30 Yin-Yang realm martial artists. Now he was left with 3 puppets and 4 specter corpses. However, these puppets and specter corpses' combat power had dropped to the early stage Yin-Yang realm due to the lack of essence crystals. In fact, it was still dropping rapidly. The urgent matter now was to find a place with rich essence energy as soon as possible. Ningyu, the essence energy here is richer. Hurry and use this period of time to recover. Chapter 634. Crystal Door. Ningyu knew that time was precious. The more primordial qi he recovered, the more life-saving measures he would have when he encountered danger. Therefore, he immediately sat down cross-legged and began to absorb the primordial qi around him. While Ningyu was recovering, the puppet had already entered the tunnel. About 3 minutes later, Hong Mo's expression changed, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. "What's going on?" Ningyu stood up from the ground and asked hurriedly. "There's an extremely powerful formation in the tunnel on the right." The puppet was crushed again before it reached the end. Hong Mo wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said in a deep voice, "The puppet in the tunnel on the left has not encountered any danger yet. It doesn't make sense that both tunnels are dangerous. Let's go to the left." Ningyu pondered for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, "Send out the last puppet and let it lead the way for us." Although there was a puppet in the tunnel on the left, Ningyu was still worried. He could not care so much now. Losing the puppet was much better than losing his life. "Go!" Hearing Ningyu's order, Hong Mo shouted and controlled the last puppet to enter the tunnel on the left. "Let's go too." Ningyu looked back at the tunnel on the other side, then rose from the ground and followed closely behind the puppet. Swoosh! Swoosh! In the tunnel that was not too spacious, 2 figures, one in front and one behind, were advancing rapidly. These 2 figures were Ningyu and Hong Mo. At first, they were very slow, afraid that they would encounter danger. However, as time passed, their speed became faster and faster. In the end, they were even advancing at full speed. This kind of full speed running did not last long, and Ningyu's expression changed slightly. Suddenly, a golden stone door that was almost solid appeared in front of him. Looking at the half-closed golden stone door and the 2 puppets in front of it, Ningyu was slightly shocked. The stone door was open, which meant that someone had already entered. "Since we're already here, we have to go in no matter what." Ningyu's expression was gloomy. After hesitating for a moment, he nodded at the Red Devil and finally made up his mind to barge in. "Shio!" As Ningyu and the Red Devil entered the golden stone door, a scorching light wave suddenly swept towards them. Ningyu's eyes narrowed slightly as he casually scattered the light waves. When the light waves dissipated, a golden hall appeared before their eyes. The hall was not as crowded as Ningyu had imagined. Instead, it was empty and there were very few decorations. Ningyu looked around the hall and finally fixed his eyes on a secret room at the end of the hall. More precisely, it was the crystal door that attracted Ningyu's attention. Supreme! Origin crystal? It was called a crystal door, but it wasn't. You could clearly feel that the crystal door was made of supreme-grade essence crystals, and it was emitting thick essence qi to the outside. Red Devil, leave a puppet to guard the entrance of the hall. If it really doesn't work, we can abandon them. Ningyu's expression was solemn as he pointed to the crystal door. Let the other puppet open that crystal door. The Red Devil did not hesitate and immediately controlled a puppet to guard the entrance of the hall while controlling the other puppet to walk towards the crystal door. Before long, the puppet arrived at the crystal door. Creak! As the puppet exerted some strength in its hands, the crystal door, made of supreme origin crystals, was slowly pushed open. Swoosh! The moment the crystal door was pushed open, an extremely thick wave of yuan qi emanated from within. This is too exaggerated, right? Sensing the fluctuation of yuan qi emanating from the secret room, Ningyu's mouth was agape as he stood rooted to the ground. 16 times, based on his intuition, Ningyu could sense that the yuan qi in the secret room was at least 16 times that of the outside world. 16 times the yuan qi density, and the quality of the yuan qi was extremely high. One could imagine that cultivating inside would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort. Even though he was excited, Ningyu did not lose his rationality. Instead, he split out a portion of his soul force and entered the secret room to investigate. To the secret room. A moment later, Ningyu retracted his soul force and stomped on the ground, heading towards the secret room rapidly. Initially, the Red Devil wanted to say something, but when he saw Ningyu's actions, he could only follow behind and enter the secret room as well. Buzz! The moment Ningyu entered the secret room, his first thought was that he had struck gold. The yuan qi in the secret room was extremely dense. Even though the quality of the yuan qi wasn't at the liquid state, it wasn't too far off. With this yuan qi, Ningyu was confident that he could recover to his peak state within dozens of minutes. In fact, he might even have the chance to improve further and charge for the Yin-Yang realm. Oh no! There are 7 to 8 Yin-Yang realm martial artists coming here. I'll stop them. You recover quickly. Before Ningyu could circulate the spirit transformation art to absorb the yuan qi, the Red Devil's expression changed drastically and he rushed out immediately. 10 minutes. You only have 10 minutes. The Red Devil left the secret room, but his words kept ringing in Ningyu's mind. Ningyu took a deep breath when he heard this, and then he circulated the spirit form technique with all his might and started to absorb the vast energy within the room. At the same time, 7 to 8 martial artists appeared in front of the golden stone door. The cultivation of these martial artists was relatively average. There was 1 late-stage Yin-Yang realm and 7 mid-stage Yin-Yang realm. The late-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist expression was extremely gloomy. At this moment, the air seemed to have frozen, and it was terrifyingly quiet. Han Yong, do you think Han Ku and the rest are in danger? After a while, a mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist broke the silence and asked, "We encountered a total of 4 forks. Don't let your imagination run wild. Since we're fine, it means that Han Ku and the rest are fine too." Han Yong waved his hand and interrupted the mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artist. Although Han Yong said that, he did not think so in his heart. This was the Zhang family's forbidden land, and there was a strange aura everywhere. The slightest carelessness could lead to death. Forget it. Let's go in first. After pondering for a moment, Han Yong said to the 2 mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists, "The 2 of you go to the other side of the stone door to scout. Inform me immediately if there's any danger." Understood. The 2 mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists dared not say anything even though they were angry. They could only enter the golden stone door obediently. Swoosh! Swoosh! The moment they stepped into the golden stone door, the 2 mid-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists retreated. At the same time, their faces revealed deep panic as they spoke in unison. "There's a red-clothed man, 2 puppets, and 4 specter corpses inside." Hearing the 2 middle-stage Yin-Yang realm martial artists' words, Han Yong's expression changed slightly, and he shouted in a deep voice, "What cultivation?" "The red-clothed man is early-stage Yin-Yang realm," one of the martial artists said. "Huff!" Hearing that, Han Yong heaved a long sigh, and his taut nerves instantly relaxed. But when he heard the other martial artist's words, His nerves tensed up once more. Chapter 635. Monster! I don't know the exact cultivation of the puppets and ghostly corpses, but I can sense a trace of peak yin-yang realm aura from them. When the middle stage yin-yang realm martialist's words rang out in the area, Han Yong's face was filled with shock. Puppets and ghost corpses at the peak of yin-yang realm? If that was the case, then why the hell would they go? They would be courting death, even if they went in. Although they had the advantage in numbers, their cultivations were not too high. The other 7 martial artists were only at the middle stage of the yin-yang realm. His cultivation was slightly higher, but he was only at the late stage of the yin-yang realm. With their combat strength, even if they encountered a peak yin-yang realm specter corpse, there was only death awaiting them. Could it be that the man in red is from the Zhang family? Suddenly, Han Yong seemed to have thought of something, his nervous expression easing up slightly. This was the forbidden area of the Zhang family, so the red-robed man on the other side of the golden stone door was most likely someone from the Zhang family. Thinking up to here, Han Yong said to the cultivator beside him, "Go talk to that red-clothed man and do your best to probe out his true identity." The mouths of the cultivators beside Han Yong gaped, and their faces were filled with bewilderment. If Chen Qing were to use a sentence to describe what he was feeling at this moment, it would be, "Why did I have to be the one who got hurt?" Chen Qing had no choice but to bite the bullet and enter the golden stone door. There are still 9 minutes left of the 10 minutes we agreed on with Ningyu. Seeing a middle-stage yin-yang realm martial artist enter the stone door, Hong Mo's expression was as calm as an ancient well. He said in a deep voice, "Who dares to trespass into the Zhang family's forbidden grounds? Leave now, and I can spare your life." As he spoke, the Red Fiend used the Red Fiend sword to quietly emit a pinnacle yin-yang realm aura. "Senior, we didn't mean to offend you." Sensing the aura of the peak of the yin-yang stage emitting from the body of the Red Devil, Qin Qing quickly said, "We are here to look for Xiao." At this point, Qin Qing chose to stop. "No, we can't expose Shura and Sha Sha. Since Shura Sha Sha sent us a distress signal, it means that he is in danger in the forbidden area." Chen Qing rolled his eyes and changed his words. "The main reason we are here is to look for the Zhang family patriarch." "Humph. I'll give you one last chance. Leave with the 7 martial artists outside as soon as possible. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite." Hong Mo snorted coldly and controlled the puppet to approach Chen Qing step by step. Yes, I will leave now," as he was afraid that the red-robed man would attack him. Qin Qing did not dare to use his perception to probe the puppet. He could only leave in a sorry state. After Chen Qing left, the Red Fiend looked back at the crystal door and muttered, "I don't know how long I can deceive them. I can only take one step at a time." Qin Qing naturally did not know what the Red Fiend was thinking. He'd just walked out of the golden stone door when Han Yong's voice resounded out by his ear, and it even carried a slight tone of reproach. "You came out so quickly. Do you know the real identity of the red-robed man?" No, my ass." Chen Qing grumbled in his heart, but he said, "He is from the Zhang family, and his cultivation should be at the peak of the yin-yang realm." Peak of yin-yang realm? Han Yong raised his eyebrows and shifted his gaze to the 2 martial artists who entered the stone door for the first time. Han Yong, the red-robed man, really only had the aura of the early stage yin-yang realm. The 2 martial artists said at the same time, Chen Qing might have seen wrongly and didn't see clearly. "Who are you calling wrongly?" Qin Qing was originally very displeased. When he heard the 2 martial artists' mockery, he said angrily, "It was obviously the 2 of you. Enough, let's not stay here. Let's go back the way we came." Han Yong was a little annoyed and berated. "Retreat to the first fork and find Han Ku and the rest." Inside the golden stone door, feeling the aura of Han Yong and the rest gradually getting further away, the Red Fiend heaved a sigh of relief. If the 8 martial artists outside barged in together, it would indeed be difficult for him to stop them. There are still 7 to 8 minutes left. I hope, Ning, you can hurry. Oh no. Before the Red Fiend could finish a sentence, his expression changed drastically. He quickly controlled the puppet and the specter corpse to block in front of him. At the same time, he held the Red Fiend's sword in his hand and stared at the golden stone door. Creak! The next moment, the golden stone door was pushed open from the outside. Then, a group of 8 martial artists walked in side by side. The Red Fiend gripped the Red Fiend's sword tightly and said in a cold voice, "You guys actually dare to trespass the Zhang family's forbidden area. Are you tired of living? Hand over Azura and Ghost Fiend, and we can spare your life." Han Yong said sinisterly. Han Yong was not someone Qin Qing could compare to. His cultivation was at the late stage Yin Yang realm and was abnormally sensitive to auras. He did not sense the slightest peak Yin Yang realm aura from the red-clothed man. Instead, he sensed a trace of terrifying aura from the red flying sword in the red-clothed man's hand. King tier flying sword, and the quality is very high. Han Yong almost instantly determined that the flying sword in the Red Fiend's hand was not simple. The quality was at least king tier. I completely don't know what you are talking about. Azura Ghost Fiend? The Red Fiend knew that his mission was to stall for time and wait for Ningyu to recover to his peak state. Since the martial artists in front of him did not attack immediately, he would not expose his true strength either. Haha, you still dare to be stubborn when death is at hand. Han Yong smiled faintly and immediately said to the many martial artists beside him, "All of you, go up and take him down. If I didn't guess wrongly, as long as we take him down, we can find Azura and Ghost Fiend." Han Yong's first sentence did not arouse the many martial artists' impulses, but his second sentence made everyone excited. Finding Azura and Ghost Fiend meant that they could extend their lives and not die without knowing why. After all, they were poisoned, and the antidote was on Azura and Ghost Fiend. Crack! Before the 7 middle stage Yin Yang realm martial artists could attack, the wall on the other side suddenly cracked. Crack! 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 Furthermore, the speed at which the wall cracked became faster and faster. In the end, even the entire wall shattered. Swoosh! Within a minute after the wall cracked, this area was abnormally quiet. A minute later, a huge figure dashed out from behind the cracked wall. This huge figure was extremely fast and arrived in front of Qin Qing in the blink of an eye. Damn it! The sudden change caused Qin Qing's expression to change drastically. He cursed in his heart and immediately retreated. Qin Qing's retreating speed was clearly slower by half a beat. The huge figure's fist brought along a violent gale as it ruthlessly smashed into Qin Qing's chest. Boom! The force that came from his chest caused Qin Qing to spit out a mouthful of blood as his body fell backwards. Swish! The huge figure clearly did not want to let Qin Qing off. His hands tore through the void and entered. When it appeared for the second time, the huge figure was already beside Qin Qing. Chapter 636. Giant Golem Crack. Pucci. 2 crisp sounds rang out in the area. Upon hearing these 2 voices, everyone, including Han Yong's group and even Hong Mo, revealed horrified expressions. This was just 2F** King terrifying. A martial artist at the intermediate stage of Yin Yang realm died, just like that, and it was a thorough death. Run. Almost at the same time, Han Yong and the remaining 6 intermediate Yin Yang stage martialists had the same thought, and they did as they were told. Bang! However, before they could reach the golden stone door slammed shut right before their eyes. Hiss! This change caused Hong Mo to involuntarily suck in a mouthful of cold air. It was not the closing of the golden stone door that shocked Hong Mo. What shocked him was the true identity of the huge figure. Puppets. The giant figure was also a puppet. The only difference was that this puppet's cultivation was not at the yin-yang realm, but a shocking half-step to the manifestation realm. A puppet at the peak of the yin-yang realm was already very powerful. One could imagine how powerful a puppet at the half-step manifestation realm would be. Inside the Great Hall, Han Yong and 6 middle-stage yin-yang realm martial artists were huddled together, their expressions extremely gloomy. On the other side were the Red Fiend, 2 small puppets, and 4 specter corpses. In the middle was a giant puppet that was half a step into the manifestation realm. Why is there a half-step manifestation realm puppet in the Zhang family's forbidden grounds? Han Yong's expression was gloomy and indeterminate. No matter what, he could not understand why the Zhang clan would possess a half-step creation realm puppet. Although in terms of combat power, a half-step manifestation realm puppet might not be a match for a half-step manifestation realm warrior, the puppet's advantage was that it could withstand attacks. Furthermore, as long as it had origin crystals, it could continuously attack. However, the origin crystals required for a half-step manifestation realm puppet were not ordinary origin crystals. They had to be at least royal grade. In fact, some half-step manifestation realm puppets could only be activated with royal grade origin crystals. Roar! At that moment, the half-step manifestation realm puppet roared at the sky and charged at the Red Fiend. Puppets, go! Looking at the behemoth approaching him, the Red Demon's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly controlled 2 small puppets to block in front of him. Crack! Crack! The 2 small puppets controlled by the Red Devil did not even last for a second before they were torn in half by the puppets that were half a step into the blessed realm. F***CK. The Red Devil did not doubt that the small puppet would be defeated, but he did not expect it to be defeated so quickly and so thoroughly. Not only was he defeated, he was even torn into 2 halves. It was truly cruel. Ghost corpse. The Red Fiend did not think too much about it. He immediately controlled the ghost corpse to stand in front of him, hoping to block the attack of the half-step manifestation realm puppet. The half-step manifestation realm puppet threw out 4 punches in a row. Each punch carried a powerful wave of primordial chi. Bang! 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 For muffled sounds resounded as the 4 specter corpses were like kites with their strings broken as they flew into the distance. The ghost corpse was already a person who had died once. Now that it was hit by a puppet that was half a step into blessed realm, its aura instantly dropped to freezing point. It was its second death. Gulp. Seeing that the puppet and specter corpse in front of the Red Devil had both been defeated, Han Yong and the rest swallowed a mouthful of saliva as an extremely terrified expression appeared on their faces. Monster. It was definitely a monster. What should they do when they encountered such a monster? Everyone, don't panic. Hold on. In my opinion, this half-step manifestation realm puppet does not have much primordial chi left in its body. As long as we can hold on for a few more minutes, we will definitely survive. Han Yong clenched his fists tightly and said in a deep voice, split up and run. Try to buy as much time as possible. Buzz, buzz. Han Yong was very quick-witted. After he said that, his body immediately became illusory and merged with the void. Hide in the void. Yes, hide in the void. There is still a chance of survival. Let's hope that the half-step manifestation realm puppet can't find our location. Seeing Han Yong's actions, the remaining 6 yin-yang stage, intermediate stage martial artists seemed to have found a hope of survival. Without even a second of hesitation, they immediately tore open the void in front of them and entered. Roar! Han Yong and the rest seemed to have angered the half-step manifestation realm puppet by merging with the void. He temporarily gave up on the Red Fiend, and a pair of frightening eyes scanned the hall. After a while, the half-step manifestation realm puppet revealed a human-like smile. Then it rose from the ground and dashed toward the west side of the hall. Boom! Then the half-step manifestation realm puppet threw a punch. Wherever the fist passed, the surrounding space seemed to be torn apart. Immediately after, a scream that sounded like a pig being slaughtered rang in the hall. After the scream, a yin-yang stage, intermediate stage martial artist appeared in the void. Crack! The yin-yang stage, intermediate stage martial artist pupils shrank the moment he appeared, and he wanted to retreat. How could a martial artist in the middle stage of the yin-yang realm escape from a puppet that was half a step into the manifestation realm? In the next moment, the half-step manifestation realm puppet's fist entered the yin-yang stage, intermediate stage martial artist body, and extended out from his back. Bang! It casually tossed the middle stage yin-yang realm martial artist, who could not be more dead, to the side, and the half-step blessed realm puppet rushed to the other side. Following that, the same scene played out continuously in the hall. Within a short minute, all the yin-yang stage, intermediate stage martial artists in the hall were killed, and only Han Yong, who was at the late stage yin-yang stage, was left. Han Yong's situation was not much better because he had already been targeted by the half-step manifestation realm puppet. Swoosh! Han Yong was rather quick-witted. He knew that he would definitely be killed if he continued, so his figure gradually appeared. However, the place where Han Yong appeared was beside the Red Fiend. "Friend, you have to help me. Otherwise, everyone will die." Han Yong's first sentence after appearing was directed at the Red Fiend. "Help? How the F***CK am I supposed to help?" The Red Fiend was so angry that he cursed. He could not even protect himself. So how could he help Han Yong? The puppet that is half a step to the manifestation realm seems to be afraid of you. Han Yong was not discouraged. Instead, he continued, "If I'm not wrong, he's wary of the red flying sword in your hand." Wary of the red flying sword in my hand. The Red Fiend was slightly stunned. Then he held the Red Fiend's sword horizontally in front of him and pretended to slash at the half-step manifestation realm puppet. Swoosh! As expected, the moment the Red Fiend swung the Red Fiend's sword, the half-step manifestation realm puppet retreated hurriedly. At the same time, a horrified expression appeared on its face. There's hope. The Red Fiend was overjoyed. As long as the puppet before him was wary of the Red Fiend's sword, he might be able to leave this place successfully today. Humph! There's no use for this flying sword with you. Hand it over to me for safekeeping. Chapter 637. Cleverness is mistaken. I knew you weren't a good person. Hong Mo did not have the slightest trace of nervousness towards Han Yong's sudden attack. Instead, he was extremely calm. "Since you want the Red Demon sword in my hand, there's no harm in giving it to you." The Red Fiend flicked his wrist and threw the Red Fiend's sword in another direction. Damn it! Han Yong immediately turned around and chased after the Red Demon sword when he saw the Red Demon sword being tossed. The puppet that was half a step into the manifestation realm was afraid of the Red Demon sword, not the Red Demon. Therefore, in Han Yong's mind, the Red Demon sword was a few levels more important than the Red Demon. In Han Yong's heart, as long as he seized the Red Fiend sword, there would be a chance of survival. Sure enough, he fell for it. Hong Mo was overjoyed when he saw Han Yong chasing after the Red Devil sword. He hurriedly dashed out in a flash. His target was the secret crystal room where Ningyu was. Trying to run? Hee, without the red flying sword, let's see how you can dodge. What? Looking at Hong Mo's back, Han Yong originally wanted to say a few harsh words, but he forcefully swallowed them when they reached his mouth. At the same time, he spoke in horror. Whoosh! Han Yong's terror wasn't without reason, but it had an absolute basis. In front of him, a puppet that was half a step into the manifestation stage quietly appeared. Roar! The puppet, who was half a step into the manifestation stage, roared at the sky. Then its fist gradually grew bigger as its pupils shrank. Kacha! Following that, an extremely crisp sound rang out in the hall. It was extremely ear-piercing. Hiss! Hong Mo, who had already arrived at the crystal door, couldn't help but turn around to take a look. However, when he saw Han Yong's miserable state, he couldn't help but gasp. Tragic, truly tragic. Han Yong, who was at the late-stage Yin-Yang realm, did not have any room to resist in the hands of a half-step creation realm puppet and was directly killed. This flying sword is fake. At the final moment before his death, Han Yong looked at the red flying sword that had turned into nothingness in his hand and finally understood. He had been cheated. What the red-robed man threw out was not the red flying sword from before, but a disguise. If it was in the past, Han Yong would definitely be able to notice it. But now was an extraordinary period, and he overlooked this point. Ningyu! The red devil glanced at Han Yong hurriedly, then turned his head and shouted, "The situation is critical! Come out quickly!" Bang! Ning, you seem to hear the red fiend's call. As soon as the red fiend's word sounded, he blasted open the crystal door and landed steadily in front of the red fiend. F***CK. After leaving the crystal chamber, Ningyu first looked at the red fiend, and then he was attracted by the massive creature not far away. A puppet that was half a step into Blessed Realm. This was too terrifying. How was anyone supposed to survive a puppet with such cultivation? Ningyu, our puppets and ghost corpses have all been blasted into smithereens by this big guy. The red devil's voice once again fell into Ningyu's ears like adding oil to the fire. Then why aren't you leaving? Ningyu's heart sank as he hurriedly said, "Big guy, seal the door of the hall. We have no way out. Only by defeating it will we have a chance of survival." The red devil's tone sounded like he was going all out. He said, "This half-step into Blessed Realm puppet seems to be afraid of the red fiend sword." "It's afraid of the red fiend sword?" Ningyu frowned and said, "I'll control the red fiend sword. You go to the crystal chamber and recuperate for a while." "I don't need to recuperate." After saying that, the red devil's figure turned into an afterimage and quickly fused with the red fiend sword. Whoosh! When the red devil fused with the red fiend sword, the Dark Emperor suddenly rushed out of the storage ring. The appearance of the Dark Emperor stunned Ningyu a little. From the aura emitted by the Dark Emperor, Ningyu judged that the Dark Emperor had recovered to his peak state. Only a short period of time had passed. Even if he relied on the rich vitality in the crystal chamber, he had only recovered 80%. How did the Dark Emperor recover to his peak state? One must know that Lung Mian and Evil I had only recovered 10%. Woof woof. The first thing the Dark Emperor did after appearing was to roar at the sky, and his body quickly changed. In just a few seconds, the Dark Emperor's body had grown several times larger, revealing the appearance of his original body. Ningyu, use the red fiend sword to cut off the head of this puppet. The Dark Emperor's voice suddenly sounded in Ningyu's mind. The red fiend sword is a peak king-level flying sword. This half-step manifestation realm puppet definitely won't be able to block it. Are you sure you're not kidding me? Ningyu's eyes widened, and he was a little speechless. If the Dark Emperor asked him to attack the stone door of the hall, he would not be surprised. After all, he would have a chance to escape once the stone door was broken. However, what the hell was cutting off the head of a half-step manifestation realm puppet? I'm very sensitive to energy. I can feel that the energy in this puppet is at its lowest point. It will last for about 3 minutes, the Dark Emperor explained. In these 3 minutes, the half-step manifestation realm aura on this puppet will be sealed in its head, and its cultivation will drop to the peak of Yin-Yang realm. As long as we can kill it within 3 minutes, the danger will naturally be resolved. Let's go all out. Ning, you stomped on the ground and leaped onto the back of the Dark Emperor. He said in a deep voice, "Dark Emperor, buy me a minute." After a minute, I will kill this puppet. Understood. The Dark Emperor knew the seriousness of the problem. Although it would be difficult to block the puppet in front of him for a minute, the current situation did not allow him to think too much. That was because when Ning Yu jumped onto his back, the gigantic puppet not far away had already torn the void with its bare hands and burrowed in. 10 meters to the east, retreat. The Dark Emperor did not want to fight the gigantic puppet head-on. Instead, he wanted to fight it as long as he could. The Dark Emperor was trying his best to avoid the pursuit of the gigantic puppet, but Ning Yu was sitting cross-legged on his back. Ning Yu held the red fiend sword in his hand as endless primordial energy surged out of his sea of consciousness and injected into the red fiend sword. Buzz! As the primordial energy was injected, the red fiend sword let out a buzzing sound. Not enough. Lung Mian, evil eye, transfer your primordial energy to me through the storage ring. Don't hold back at all. Although the speed at which Ning Yu injected primordial energy was already very fast, he was not satisfied. At this speed, the red fiend sword would not be able to cut off the head of the gigantic puppet in a minute. After all, the red fiend sword was a peak king stage flying sword. The more primordial energy there was, the more powerful it would be. Hiss! Lung Mian and Evil Eye did not dare to delay as they hurriedly transferred the primordial energy that they had just recovered through the storage ring. Even Lu Wei, who was in the storage ring, joined in the transfer of primordial energy. Uft! Ning Yu was able to transfer his primordial energy safely, but the Dark Emperor was not in a good situation. It seemed like the Dark Emperor's speculation was wrong. As time passed, the cultivation of the gigantic puppet gradually increased. Chapter 638. Miscellaneous Holy Book Chapter 638. Miscellaneous Holy Book. Ning Yu, we don't have much time left. Attack now. The Dark Emperor was not a fool. He knew that he would only die if he continued to fight. Since he could not hold on any longer, he could only ask Ning Yu to attack first. Only then would they have a chance of survival. If this dragged on, all of them would die. Dark Emperor, channel all the energy in your body into the red demon sword. I'll attack in 10 seconds. Ning Yu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Understood. The Dark Emperor did not hesitate at all. As he flew around the hall, he channeled all his energy into the red demon sword. Buzz! As the energy in the Dark Emperor's body continued to decrease, Ning Yu was shocked to discover that the red demon sword was trembling slightly. So the vitality in the Dark Emperor's body is the main source. Ning Yu was elated when he sensed the changes in the red demon sword. The Dark Emperor was indeed a purple-gold sky-devouring hound. The energy in his body was even more powerful than all of them combined. Relying on the Dark Emperor's energy, the red demon sword's trembling grew louder. In the end, it even broke free from Ning Yu's wrist and charged toward the half-step manifestation realm puppet at an extremely fast speed. Swoosh! This sudden change was clearly not what Ning Yu had expected. Although he did not expect it, Ning Yu knew that the most important thing now was to restrain the half-step manifestation realm puppet from the side and create an opportunity for the red demon sword. Ning Yu flipped his wrist, and his soul power poured out and wrapped around his wrist. At the same time, he summoned the blue spirit fire in his body and wrapped it around his wrist together with his soul power. Reincarnation palm. In the next moment, as Ning Yu bellowed, a huge blood-red palm print appeared in the air. The moment the palm print appeared, it locked onto the puppet, who was half a step into the blessed realm. Almost in an instant, it arrived beside the puppet, and under Ning Yu's hopeful gaze, it landed on the puppet's cheek. Pa! A crisp sound rang out in the main hall. However, the puppet seemed unaffected as it continued to charge towards Ning Yu. Damn it! When he saw that the half-step blessed realm puppet was about to reach him, Ning Yu cursed in his heart and immediately retreated. Buzz! Before Ning Yu could even take a few steps back, his pupils constricted and his face was filled with disbelief. Not far away, the red demon's sword had already torn through space and appeared beside the puppet, slashing down towards its head. What? Ning Yu was supposed to be happy when he saw the red demon's sword slash the puppet's neck. However, he couldn't help but gape when he saw the red demon sword only slash the puppet's neck. It didn't even move an inch. How could the material of this puppet be so high? Even the red demon's sword at the peak of the king level couldn't do anything to it. Kacha! However, just as Ning Yu thought that the puppet was about to counterattack, a crisp cracking sound suddenly rang out and entered his ears. This sound caused Ning Yu, who was on the brink of despair, to completely return to his senses. It was only when he saw a small red flying sword stuck in the puppet's neck that Ning Yu came to a sudden realization. Good sword. It was not the red demon's sword that had pierced the puppet's neck, but the good sword that was derived from the red demon's sword. Not good. Red demon's sword, come back quickly. Ning Yu's excitement did not last for long before his expression changed drastically. This was because Ning Yu sensed a terrifying aura and a frightening yuan qi undulation from the puppet. Judging from the aura, the puppet's cultivation had already reached the half-step manifestation realm and was even approaching the manifestation realm. Judging from the yuan qi undulation, Ning Yu was certain that the puppet would self-destruct in less than 3 seconds. The self-destruction of a half-step manifestation realm puppet was no joke. The slightest carelessness would result in a tragic death. Swish! Perhaps it had sensed the yuan qi undulation from the puppet's body. The red demon's sword did not tarry. It immediately turned its head and flew toward Ning Yu. When it saw the red demon's sword fly away, the good sword also used all its strength to rush out from the puppet's neck. Pa! The puppet seemed to want to drag someone down with it. Just as the good sword flew out from its neck, it raised its right hand and firmly grabbed the good sword in its hand. F***CK. The sudden change caused Ning Yu to curse uncontrollably. However, Ning Yu knew the severity of the problem. He only pondered for a second before deciding to abandon the good sword. Rumble. Not long after Ning Yu made this decision, the puppet continued to expand. 3 seconds later, the puppet exploded with a loud bang. The instant the puppet exploded, Ning Yu's figure flashed and entered the storage ring. Although it was difficult for the storage ring to withstand the shock wave of the puppet's explosion, Ning Yu had no other choice. He could only make a desperate attempt and take a gamble. In order to kill the puppet, all of them, including the Dark Emperor, had exhausted all the energy in their bodies. In their current state, they could only rely on the storage ring. Otherwise, only death awaited them. What's going on? Ning Yu, the Dark Emperor, and the others stayed in the storage ring and waited quietly. However, 1 minute passed, 3 minutes passed, and 10 minutes passed. The storage ring did not even shake, let alone be affected by the shock wave of the puppet's explosion. This doesn't make sense. The self-destruction of a half-step manifestation realm puppet can't be so weak. Ning Yu gritted his teeth and quietly released his perception from the storage ring. Hiss! Ning Yu sucked in a breath of cold air as soon as he saw Ning Yu. The shock wave of the puppet's self-destruction was indeed huge. Even the good sword was blasted in half. What surprised Ning Yu was that there was a slightly yellow book above the puppet's head. At this time, there were several light waves emitted from the book, surrounding the shock wave of the puppet's explosion. Soon, the shock wave of the puppet's explosion was absorbed by the slightly yellow book. Bang! After absorbing the shock wave of the explosion, the book fell from midair and landed on the ground. Gulp! Ning Yu's vision was very good. When he saw the 4 big words on the yellow book, he could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll. 4 big golden words were clearly engraved on the book. Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll. It's actually the Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll. I wonder if this is the real thing. Ning Yu's face showed unconcealable excitement. The Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll was said to be a book created by an ancient almighty. It was all-encompassing. Puppetry techniques, mechanisms, and even the structure of arrays and the forging of Dharma treasures were explained. If the reincarnation pill Tao was the holy book of the pill world, then the Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll was the miscellaneous holy book. In his previous life, even though Ningyu's cultivation had reached the Sky Supreme stage, he had rarely touched on arrays and the forging of Dharma treasures. Firstly, it was because he mainly cultivated alchemy and martial arts. Secondly, it was because he did not have a treasure like the Ghost Hatchet Divine Scroll. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.